I got in trouble for stealing bread, so my corporate overlord sent me to serve my sentence by doing community service crafting something. Some cookies, but also an entire planet. As I terraform up a storm and create funky life forms, the environment will hopefully turn from red to green. And maybe I'll also uncover the strange mysteries of this cursed planet. Also, I'm gonna have to automate like crazy and get flamin' rich to achieve 100% completion.
Let's craft a planet, baby. Oh, here we go.
And so I landed on a rather red planet, devoid of life.
Oh, just like that, we're into it.
I had an email informing me I was assigned to terraform this planet.
You'll need to generate O2, heat, and pressure.
My first goal was to work towards turning the sky blue, which sounds godlike, so that should be easy. I took stock of what I was able to craft. I was relieved to see I had at least been given a chest of supplies, and I wandered out to see the arid landscape was littered with resources I could collect. Ice, titanium, silicon, and in this chest, some magnesium and some eggplant seeds. After barely 30 seconds of laser mining, my 12-slot inventory was full. Fortunately, I could increase its size by making a backpack out of 2 iron.
That was very necessary.
4 more inventory slots. Happy days. I quickly yoinked 1 more cobalt.
Tier 1 oxygen tank. Let's go.
Equipping that increased my oxygen supply from 100 up to 145. I also crafted 3 waters out of ice I'd picked up before grabbing a couple more magnesium, which allowed me to build the construction chip, which allowed me to construct stuff.
Oh. I didn't mean...
I was trying to find the button for the building menu, but I don't think that was it. I soon found the correct button. I figured a living compartment was a good place to start. However, I had a little trouble.
I don't understand why I can't rotate it. Why can I float it? No.
And then my experimentation was interrupted.
Why is it going all red? Ah! Whoa. Is this it's a meteor storm? Ah! Well, let's carry on. As if nothing's happening.
I eventually ended up with this, except not really, I changed my mind, and I somehow spent all night fiddling, before simply building right on the ground. I don't know why I was so picky trying to build all night, it's probably because I'm insane, but anyway, home sweet home, and somewhere to place down a much needed storage chest. And then I began terraforming. For 1 titanium and 1 iron, I made a drill, which releases gas from inside the planet, increasing atmospheric pressure, except it needed power to run, so I made a foundation upon which I made a wind turbine out of 1 iron. So drilling commenced and the terraformation index in the top right there began to climb.
It took me way too long to do that, because I'm silly.
I found some magnesium, grabbed some ice, and made a veggie tube in which I needed to place seeds. Lucky for me, I'd arrived with a lerma seed and I'd found that eggplant seed. It didn't want the eggplant, but the lerma went in okay, and now I was producing oxygen. I had a quick collection spree, prioritizing iron, because I needed it to expand my little base. I discovered building upwards was an option, but opted to expand sideways for now.
Screen, terraformation.
I placed the big honkin' screen on the wall, and it drew too much power, and so everything immediately shut down.
Ooh, what's that over there? Something crashed or something?
I found a random chest over here.
Blueprint microchip. Use this in the blueprint screen to unlock a new blueprint. Don't mind if I do.
It also contained my first chunk of aluminium. Small issue though, I was getting rather low on O2.
Oh, I'm gonna die. Pop an O2 capsule.
These fully restore your O2 levels, so they're a must bring on any expeditions out into the wilds. I made another wind turbine.
Okay, so this is working now. I have enough power. Okay, so O2, heat, pressure, terraformation 87 Ti. 175,000 to reach a blue sky, and I'm on 93. All right, early beginnings. It's a slow day.
I placed a desk upon which I plonked down 2 more monitors. The energy screen is very useful to know how much excess power is available, and the blueprint screen revealed that as I progressed the various aspects of terraforming, I was going to unlock plenty of blueprints.
Okay, and then I found a blueprint microchip as well, so I can decode that. Tier 1 mining speed.
I expanded my storage a little, dumped all my stuff, and had some space food and a cheeky beverage to fill my belly.
Generates heat. I need iridium. Okay.
I grabbed some survival essentials and ventured forth in search of iridium.
Is that water or just constant dust?
If there was water here already, that would be very helpful for my terraformation efforts. Alas, it is dust.
It's so red everywhere, you know?
This cave definitely had iridium vibes, but I was already low on O2, so I had to pop my first capsule.
Yes. The cave. Okay, so the cave has iridium. Aluminium as well. We'll grab that while we're here.
I collected my fill, and when I was ready to leave, I was forced to pop the second capsule.
Can we get back on 1 full O2 bar? I think so. It kind of looks like the Millennium Falcon.
I was able to make it home in time, but it was clear I was going to need more capsules or an O2 tank upgrade before I'd be able to travel too far from my base. I added another wind turbine, and I should mention you don't actually have to connect these to a power grid. As soon as they're down, they automatically supply the whole planet with electricity. This of course makes no sense sense, but it's very convenient. With some iridium, iron, and silicon, my first heater went down.
Nuclear reactor. Okay, we got the tier 2 backpack unlocked. That's good.
Thanks to my pressure progress, I'd unlocked a bigger O2 tank too. But I couldn't craft either of these at the crafting station in my pod, so I was confused. I was able to craft some O2 capsules out of cobalt, at least. Turns out the crafting confusion was because I'm a goose. Surprise, surprise. More on that in a second. But for now, I was on the hunt for iron, because I'd bumbled about learning the ropes, and now it was time to scale up a bit. I placed another turbine, which afforded me the power to place another heater, and then I realized...
Oh, tier 2 craft station. I'm so blind, man. That's pretty well centered. Okay, we got the tier 2 craft station, which is a relief.
I embiggened my backpack.
Heck yes. An extra row. I can make a mining speed upgrade.
10% faster mining speed acquired. I grabbed all the iron I had and added a bunch more wind turbines to my power setup, so I now had 8 total. And I made use of my 10% faster mining speed to collect a bunch, which allowed me to place 2 more drills down. I also upgraded my O2 tank, increasing its size to 200.
Unlocked the solar panel. That's good. Dude, I'm gonna run out of food though. I'm confused about the food, man. And I don't have any more seeds I can put in here, do I? So I feel like I need the food grower. It's all the way up here. But the only way to produce oxygen to get all the way up there is with this. And it's so slow. And I made another one, but I don't have any more seeds. So what? How else can I get food?
Yes, indeed. I was gonna run out of the food I'd started with, and I had no way of making new food yet, so I was stressing. I made a tier 1 exoskeleton, which increased the amount of equipment I was able to use, and while that was happening, my heat progress had unlocked the tier 2 veggie tube. So I stole the lerma seed from this tube, placed down a tier 2 tube, and whacked the seed in there. With that, my solitary seed was producing more than 10 times the oxygen. Excellent news, as this hugely sped my progress towards the food grower unlock. I made myself a torch microchip, and I added 3 more tier 1 drills to the lineup here. I added some more heaters inside too. Of course, I was regularly running out to grab the materials needed to build all this.
I feel like my wind turbines aren't spinning, but I think they're still producing electricity, so I respect it.
The heaters I'd just built had overloaded my power capacity, but lucky for me, I now had solar panels on the menu. These provide 6.5 units of power per second compared to the turbine's 1.2. With my base now chugging along, pushing the terraformation index upward at a decent rate, I headed out in an attempt to solve my food problem. I wanted more lerma seeds so I could produce oxygen quicker, so I could unlock the food grower quicker.
Maybe these crashed ships will have what I need. I might just find straight up food, which would also be good.
I found a way in at the front of the ship.
Very interesting.
And it's just as well I made that torch, because it was rather dark in here.
Are there gonna be monsters in here? Is that radioactive? Oh, here we go. Oh, yes. Oxygen okay, we're good. We're good. Happy days.
I found food, and not only a lerma seed, but 2 pastera seeds that multiply oxygen production of veggie tubes by 200%. So I'd already gotten what I was looking for, and then some. I had to clear my way forward, where I found more loot. Another bit of food to keep me going, a blueprint, and some fabric. I was already low on space, so I left behind any of the more common materials.
Because I got to 2.5 KTI, I unlocked the backpack 3, which is excellent.
And at this dead end here, yet more loot. I grabbed what I could, but then over here, yet more loot, including another blueprint chip, which I figured I better prioritize.
Okay, so we found some microchips. I'm leaving behind so much fabric and seeds and stuff, like useful stuff.
And that was definitive proof that expeditions to crash sites were rather profitable. I decoded the blueprint chips.
Decode. Tier 1 agility boots. Tier 2 agility boots. Super alloy. Well, I can make the first one. Here we go. Tier 1 agility boots. Boom. 15% move speed is crazy. Hell yeah.
I placed a second tier 2 veggie tube.
We put the 200% multiplier in there. Take that one out. Put another 200% multiplier in. Do I have another one? Yep. Okay, so that just very significantly increased the speed of O2 shenanigans.
And I made the base a little bigger, restocked a little, made the base bigger still, reorganized my storage, and things were looking good. Aluminium isn't easy to find, by the way, but I luckily still had 2 left over from the Iridium Cave, and so I was able to make the tier 3 backpack.
Boom, even more space. We love to see it. What else have I unlocked? I got the heater too now.
Before we crack on with day 5, let me surf some sparklies. Thanks to Gameloft for sponsoring this video. Disney Dreamlight Valley has life sim crafting, fishing, mining, village building, and all that good stuff. But you're thrown into a dream world full of Disney and Pixar characters.
How's it going?
I played a little, and for some reason made my character rather sunburnt.
There he is.
As I wandered about helping Merlin recover from memory loss caused by the terrible forgetting, I was certainly won over by the 1-2 combo of chill, cozy vibes and childhood nostalgia nostalgia, as I cooked Mickey Mouse himself a fruit salad. But it also had me itching to grind up a storm in order to figure out how to maximize profit and make millions of gold selling stuff to Goofy. Perhaps I'll have to make a full video on the game someday. There's plenty to sink your teeth into questing and collecting, and the customization options are endless. My sunburnt fella was changing clothes willy-nilly.
Look at the skinny sheets.
And you can decorate both inside and outside to build your dream village. There are plenty of realms to visit and recognizable characters to meet whom you can befriend with gifts and adorn with glorious outfits. And multiplayer is available too. Click my link below to purchase Disney Dreamlight Valley, available now. Alright friends, back to crafting a planet. I now felt less worried about starving to death, especially once I found another bit of space food in this chest, so I turned my attention to scaling up the operation.
Indoor ladder. Oh, I put it the wrong way.
That is not the correct way. Try again.
Okay, now we're up. Good.
I deconstructed the veggie tubes and moved them upstairs, where I also added a third.
Another 200% thingo in there. Good, that's good. We're getting some good air now. Some delicious air.
And I'd unlocked the tier 2 drill as well, so there was no shortage of stuff to work towards.
Run!
I don't think the asteroids can actually hurt you, but I hid inside regardless, where I took stock of what I needed and concluded some more power would be nice. So down went 2 more solar panels. I got these tier 1 heaters out of the way and finally placed the progress screen here.
We're 6.35% of the way to beautiful blue sky. Okay, I can cope with that.
I added another compartment.
Yeah, you just float like that?
And moved my tier 1 heaters upstairs.
Oh, dude, what? What?
Yeah, I just died because I forgot to hydrate. Subscribe to Floydson if you are aware that you will die if you don't hydrate, unlike me.
Heat over here, oxygen over here, that's fine.
I bounced my way over to the crash site, and I realized there was a tier 2 heater here I could deconstruct to claim all its composite materials. And I of course claimed all the good stuff I'd left behind, including a blueprint chip I'd somehow missed.
So the tier 2 drill is like almost 10 times better. No, it's like 8 times better. The tier 2 heater is like 15 times better.
They're also significantly more energy efficient, so I decided ripping down the tier 1s and repurposing their materials into tier 2s was the way to go.
My heat is going nuts now, 13.5 a second. Look at it go.
I placed another 2 veggie tubes too, but the best seeds I had were only 150% multipliers, so these 2 weren't quite as juicy as my first 3 tubes.
That second trip to the ship got 3 of these built for me, which is crazy.
While I was planning out my drill build, I unlocked the food grower, so it turned out I had nothing to worry about food-wise. I placed a big boy tier 2 drill, standing tall at a lovely angle.
Okay, so I unlocked the food grower and the beacon and the tier 2 solar panel, which produces 19.5.
Most of these unlocks required aluminium, and I had none of that left. I'd found quite a few in the first wreck, so I figured this other wreck up the hill was a good place to go looking.
How do I get in? Hello? Here we go. All right, give me some of that good stuff. There's a frosty cave thing over here. Starts melting it. Oh, it'll melt and then I can go further. Interesting. Well, I'm already running kind of low on oxygen, so we're gonna make this trip count.
This was definitely a much bigger ship, and it immediately delivered the goods.
That's exactly what we want. Ooh, space alloy, let's go. Advanced technology.
It's super alloy, not space alloy. What a goose. I stumbled about collecting all the good stuff.
Ooh, I'll take uranium.
And I was pleased to track down 3 aluminium.
Give me that. All right, I gotta go. I'm gonna die.
I made it home just fine, where I made the tier 2 agility boots, using the 2 super alloys and fabric I'd found.
An extra 15% move speed. Lovely.
I got the compass and living compartment corner blueprints from the chips I'd found, and I had the aluminium to make some big boy solar panels. But somehow I did not have the cobalt, so I collected some of that before placing 2 large solar panels, increasing my power supply by a whopping 39. As day 7 dawned, I decided it was only right that this appendage here have proper support, so support I gave it. And to celebrate hitting 50 KTI on the terraforming efforts, I unlocked locker storage. I made a tier 3 O2 tank, and at long last, a food grower.
No, give me space beans. Give me space beans, baby.
And so some beans began to grow. The downside was it used a rather hefty 15 units of power per second, but you gotta eat, I guess. Also, I already unlocked the tier 3 drill.
Yeah, now this is where we get some serious pressure. 1.5 per second up to 17, and it only costs 3.5 more energy. Screw tier 2 drills, man.
And so down a tier 3 went.
Let's go, big boy.
I made my first locker storage out of 3 iron. It was quite big, and I was fresh out of aluminium once again. But I'd luckily had a surge of remembrance, and so I recalled that there was aluminium in this dusty cave. I collected as much as I could find, along with some iridium.
This is gonna be another way to explore further here. Oh yes, a double aluminium chesticle, my favorite. Okay, there's the tier 3 veggie tube. I feel like we're scaling, like we're unlocking at a great speed. What are we got in here? Oh my gosh.
If only I had a bigger inventory. I decided to say be gone to the iridium and invited as much aluminium to the party as possible. And as I ran home, I noticed something.
The sky is certainly beginning to look blue. There's no doubt about it. Very cool. I should explore over there. That was a good haul, baby. This is using 5 times the energy, but it produces more than 10 times the oxygen. I appreciate the efficiency.
It wouldn't let me place it inside though, so I whacked it over here and put the 200% multiplier seed into it. I hunted for silicon and soon placed a second. As I mentioned, these were more than 10 times better than the tier 2 veggie tubes, and so my oxygen production increased significantly. And suddenly, that number in the top right was moving rather quickly towards the blue sky to be found at 175 KTI. I'd unlocked a satellite dish, so I made a spot for one here. However, it blew up my power, so I tore it down immediately and turned my attention to the solar array. After making quite a mess, I eventually ended up with 5 large solar panels. I'd ripped down the old solar panels because their materials helped me build the bigger ones, and I considered tearing down the rather ineffective wind turbines too. But then I remembered they cost a measly 1 iron each, and they're also beautiful, so I left them up.
Beans.
The bean restored 60 health, and it grew in about the time it took me to lose 60 health, so this felt like a good food arrangement. Terraforming speed check? Yeah, nice one, but more pressure wouldn't hurt. I got rid of the tier 1 and 2 drills and placed another big honkin' tier 3 down, as on its own, this big thing produces more pressure than all the little ones combined.
Okay, there's the tier 3 heater.
These are crafted using iridium rods.
Blue sky is happening literally right now. Oh yeah.
This unlocked the advanced crafter, which is rather large, so I didn't make it just yet. I did place down a transmission screen and replace the antenna now that I had enough power. This thing, paired with the screen, results in new emails. This email revealed some intriguing information.
I'm a criminal, and to get the charges dropped, I must fully terraform this planet.
Yes indeed, rather than jail, I'd chosen community service instead. Except I wasn't cleaning up rubbish under a bridge, I was transforming an entire planet. Fair enough.
Powering along towards clouds, you know? Can I make a nuclear reactor? Uranium rod.
With the terraforming moving rapidly, new recipes were of course being unlocked rapidly. I expanded the base to make room for an advanced crafter.
Super alloys are super expensive. Basically need all 6 basic materials, I think.
Rockets and jetpacks were on the menu, and this is where I can make the rods I need, costing a whopping 9 iridium or uranium per respective rod. I had enough to make my first iridium rod. This allowed me to place a tier 3 heater, which produces about 6 times the heat of a tier 2, but once again I was tripping my power. One more large solar panel got things chugging once more, and after a little bit of scavenging, a 7th was added to the setup. I revamped my storage because chests were now out of fashion, lockers were in, and I was on a mission for a super alloy, which meant some collecting had to happen. And then
1, 2.
Except I needed one more to make the tier 3 backpack, and I was out of aluminium, which isn't available lying around nearby, so I headed further afield.
What are these things?
There was aluminium to be mined in this biome. I found a blueprint in this chest. I received a new message back at base. I unlocked the grass spreader, and this crashed vessel proved bountiful.
Oh yeah, you got the good stuff. Holy dooly. Oh, it's beautiful.
There was too much to carry, so my expedition was over already. On the way back, I unlocked the rocket platform.
I feel like I'm unlocking some stuff so fast. What's going on?
I upgraded my backpack and claimed the tier 2 torch blueprint from the chip. I made the tier 2 exoskeleton, the tier 4 oxygen tank, which pushed my O2 capacity up to 370, a tier 2 mining chip to increase my mining speed by another 10%, and the tier 3 mining chip as well.
We're on the move here, man. This is crazy. It's raining. Oh, my oxygen is lasting so long, by the way. 370 is amazing.
Yes indeed, I'd reached the cloud stage of my terraformation efforts, and water was on its way. I made myself a compass too.
I think I got a transmission, right? Message from Riley.
I don't know who Riley is, but his first message provided some useless advice. But there was a second message as well.
I read that you have a greater chance of success if you build your base at an altitude. I'm not sure why yet. At altitude? Well, my base is not at altitude, so I may have made a mistake, but she'll be right.
Riley was correct, and the fact that I had built at a low altitude was in fact a bit of a disaster. You might be able to guess why. More on that very soon.
Greatly speeds up the terraforming process by sending rockets into space.
Thanks to the aluminium I'd collected at that crash, I still had materials to pump out them super alloys. So it was time for a big old rocket platform. But once again, I'd forgotten about power, so this thing had to go for the time being. By this point, the materials close to my base had mostly been mined, so I had to run further and further to collect. In this case, I hunted down cobalt, which allowed me to craft yet another duo of solar panels, and so down the rocket platform went once again. The 2 rockets available to be launched from here provided a whopping 1000 generation bonus to each either heat or pressure. Absolutely bonkers. But I didn't really have the iridium or uranium to make rocket engines yet. So after all that, I tore down the rocket platform anyway, to free up the 50-ish energy consumption. I put that power towards my first grass spreader instead, which produces a lot of oxygen and also a tiny bit of plant growth, contributing to the biomass on the planet. I used the super alloys regained from tearing down the rocket to make a biodome, which I thought about providing structural support for, but I changed my mind.
So what if I've got stuff floating? Yeah, grow that grass.
The biodome produces heaps of oxygen too, but it also provides insight into what can be unlocked as biomass is added to the planet. Basically, now that the planet was becoming habitable, it was time to begin introducing plant, insect, and animal life. With the addition of those two oxygen generators, the terraforming index was going bonkers as I collected some iridium. The nearby cave still had enough available for an entire bag full, allowing me to make 2 iridium rods, which was enough for 2 more tier 3 heaters. I was finally learning to pay attention to my power levels, so I placed a new solar panel down first this time before the heaters went down.
No, I thought that we'd have enough.
I guess I miscalculated the power needed. What a goose. Getting rid of one of the tier 2 heaters created the power margin needed though. I'd prioritized getting these heaters constructed as I wanted the big ice blockages melted as soon as possible. I ventured towards this sandy area for the first time, with this big wreck as my destination. As I arrived, I reached rain level. Inside was some technical debris, but I needed a higher tier deconstruction chip, and I stumbled about claiming loot. I found a ladder down, so down I went, and as usual, there was way too much for me to carry home.
Oh, 300% multiplier. Holy crap. 400% multiplier. Oh, bioplastic nugget. What the heck?
I left behind a heap of good stuff, which I vowed to return and collect, but for now I was grateful to replace the 200% O2 multiplier in these veggie tubes with a 400% and a 300% seed.
Well, let's go an okay speed towards liquid water. A whole bunch of blueprints. Big living. Oh, 1 GPS satellite. Screen mapping. Interesting. Area lamp.
I improved the seeds in the tubes upstairs too, and my O2 was certainly winning the race against heat and pressure for now.
I'm just starved for power, man.
I added another solar panel and placed a mapping screen, hoping to see something like a uranium deposit on the map, but I had no GPS rocket in orbit, therefore no map was available. What a sad day. I'd been unlocking stuff rather fast recently, but it was beginning to slow down, so I needed to scale up my terraforming efforts. And to scale reliably, I was going to need way more power, as the solar panels just weren't cutting it anymore. What I really needed was nuclear power. However, I'd barely found any uranium. I ventured through to the other side of the weird aluminium biome, and I discovered some big, pointy rocks. There were a couple of wrecks to plunder with okay loot.
Nothing too exciting, except for some thingos pointing skyward. Oh. Oh. Find your first golden seed. 600% multiplier. This is okay, this is a good chest.
I could even deconstruct the chest itself to claim a cheeky bonus super alloy.
A very juicy golden crate.
I had a little peek further afield. There was a big ring thing over there, a sealed off cave here that could be cleared with explosives, and...
Oh, I just spotted something good. Yes, hell yeah. Juicy.
Now that I knew fancy golden chests were a thing, I was keeping a closer eye. And what do you know, another one under this rock.
The triple golden seed shenanigans.
My veggie tubes got yet another improvement, and I should mention you can't place the seed multiplier thingos in the grass spreader. Otherwise, I most certainly would have whacked a golden seed in there. I placed the golden statues I'd found, and I'd received another message from my overlords. They informed me I was in a pre-civilization sector of the galaxy.
Crossed mostly by trade ships.
I swear most of those trade ships were crashing on my planet, for which I was grateful. Good job, idiots. I unlocked 3 chips worth of blueprints, and the truly huge win was I now had 2 uranium rods, which meant 2 enormous nuclear power generators could be made. I suddenly had almost 200 more power available. I received another message.
Some other convict messaged me. The weather is atrocious and I'm running out of resources. There's not enough on this barren world to terraform it. I don't know why I chose this. Death would have been more pleasant than this hell. If anyone can send help, please do.
I was in the exact same predicament as old mate, but I was having a great time, so I don't know what his problem was. I placed a rocket platform yet again, as I now had what I needed to craft a rocket, although I ran out of super alloys after that, so a collecting spree was in order, but then...
Oh, I need 1 more cobalt.
Oh yeah, just one of those.
So this is going to attract uranium asteroids, which sounds like a really bad thing, but it's going to give me a massive, like 10 times heat bonus. Go. Beautiful. Absolutely glorious.
As promised, asteroids came roaring down.
Ah! Wait, are they gonna drop uranium everywhere? But is my heat going 10 times faster now? Sure is.
Yeah, so that is a pretty effective way to speed up the terraforming process. I headed out to inspect the spots where the asteroids had landed, and I was delighted to see they do indeed drop collectible uranium. Each asteroid seemed to have 5 or so, although this one's bounty was a little hard to get at. But that was another nuclear rod worth of uranium. Off in this direction was a gap in the cliffside I'd not ventured through yet, so I headed over and found it took me to the area with the skyward rocks. But coming at it from a different angle proved helpful because this time I spotted a cave. There was iridium and sulfur, but most excitingly, osmium. As I admired another big chunk of ice, I reached liquid water stage, and this proved to be an impressive chest.
Oh, there's a whole rocket engine in here. Holy crap, dude.
There was only 7 osmium, but I was happy, because with 2 of them, I'd be able to craft an ore miner to automate some of my material collection efforts. I crafted a second rocket and used both rockets to make a new toy.
Hell yeah. Tier 1 jetpack.
This thing didn't give that much lift, but it was certainly useful for traversal. I felt like my pressure generation was a little neglected, so I added another tier 3 drill, and I noticed that things had really slowed down. It was going to take a bit of work to progress towards lakes. By the way, I was still constantly using cobalt to make O2 canisters and ice to make water, and of course, glorious beans were keeping my belly full. I headed to check if the ice had melted in the nearby cave, and yes indeed. Passage was now clear, and so I found myself in a rather stinky looking area. This was an opportunity to grab aluminium, for which I was always hungry, and sulfur, which I didn't have much use for yet, but it was no doubt going to come in handy soon enough. And through on the other side, another cave with more osmium, blocked at the end by ice that hadn't yet melted.
I mean, I feel like I don't want this much sulfur. I need aluminium. Biolab is unlocked. Ooh.
The stinky area was rather large, and I spotted another direction I could go.
Oh dear. What the hell?
It was rather dusty, and I took this to be the edge of the map, but I wasn't sure. I was pleased to find some super alloy lying around. I was jetpacking everywhere slightly off the ground, by the way. It felt faster, but I don't know if it actually was. I added another compartment to my base, and there was some concerning water pooling out here.
That's why you shouldn't build on the bottom of the crater. That's why his message said it's wise to build at altitude. For goodness sake, does that mean I have to rip everything up? Because this is where it goes all low, so you can imagine this all being a big lake. Surely this won't be underwater, because there's lower points over there as well. Yeah, I think this is where I should build my base. Tier 5 backpack.
In light of my imminent base relocation, I placed the ore miner up this way.
Production time 70 seconds. Producing a fair bit of heat and pressure, so that's a bonus. Do I know what it's going to get? Oh, it's getting iron.
This went on to collect the 5 basic materials: iron, silicon, magnesium, titanium, and cobalt, which was very handy and saved a bunch of time.
We're growing eggplant now because I need it for the algae generator.
I checked in on my miner's efforts, not too bad, and I made a front door for base 2.
I swear they set you up. It's like the nicest, flattest area right where you start. Yeah, build a base here. Nothing could go wrong.
Day 15 was spent tearing down and setting up. I made a large living compartment to house the control room of my new base. The water soon began to flood my old base. I used back-to-back lockers like so to fit in plenty of storage, and this took ages. Also, some of the deconstruction efforts got a little messy.
I'm swimming. See, Riley didn't send me his email until I'd already built my base at the lowest point possible.
I mean, if I'd thought it through, I'd have realized to make a planet habitable, water was necessary, and therefore crater equals bad idea. But have you ever known a goose on the loose to think things through? The food growers being out of commission during the move wasn't ideal because I grew hungry for beans. But don't worry, I found a random squash to eat. Even when I removed the last of the base from the water, there was still all the random outdoor stuff to move. And pretty much the last thing I moved was the power setup, as I wanted to leave the machines chugging while minimizing downtime without power.
Drill hill over here, little oxygen setup there. There's the main power setup. Beautiful. Okay, we're reset.
Yes, indeed, a gorgeous new base. I did a few final touches, such as getting an upstairs set up with heaters, and I opted to place my biodome outside over here this time. This was definitely a much improved, more spacious base. So the reset certainly had its benefits, even though it was rather time consuming. I placed a 3rd nuclear generator, and I spent some time organizing my new storage setup.
Alright, well, everything's organized now. And I actually have way more resources than I thought.
I'd only chugged along to 17% of the way towards lakes, even though the move somehow took me over an hour. But with everything established, it was time to get back to work. I had a quick crafting session, which led to this.
Yeah, here we go. The pressure multiplier. Lift off.
This rocket increased pressure generation by 1000%, and it caused some iridium asteroids to come crashing down. I claimed iridium from the ones that landed nearby, and I got into mischief with my jetpack.
Oh, we got up. Oh dear. No, we clipped through the universe. That's not helpful.
I placed another food grower to get eggplants growing again, and I placed a couple more grass spreaders too. I also placed a third veggie tube because I had a golden seed sitting around doing nothing, which was an egregious waste of golden goodness.
Not bad. It's still far behind the others because the others have 1000% going on, but that's fine.
And as you can see, I put some dump lockers here to hold overflow from the miner, which was certainly pulling its weight.
I'm up to 15 out of 55. They're all just achievements from progression. I think I just unlocked something. Oh, tier 2 nuclear reactor. I mean, I've got 3 rods if I deconstruct my old nuclear reactors, which would definitely be worth it because this only costs 1 super alloy, so it's way cheaper. How do I get the explosive powder?
I also claimed a backpack upgrade.
Tier 5 backpack, baby. Oh, it added an extra row on the right. That is great news.
I was struggling to find ice lying around by this point, meaning crafting water was becoming trickier. So it was a good feeling to place down this water collector, which passively produces bottles of water.
This is my last bottle of water, so hopefully this starts producing. I don't know how long it takes.
With pretty much my last super alloy, an eggplant, and the bioplastic nugget I'd found in a random chest, I placed an algae generator, which added a solid O2 boost and more than doubled my meager plant production too.
But now my power is pretty much maxed out. I think it makes the most sense to try and get more uranium asteroids.
I hadn't found much uranium in the wild yet, so it seemed like the safest bet. I hit up this crash site once more, and I'm quite confident I didn't find this particular area the last time I was here.
Oh, a whole rocket engine as well. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. A golden seed. Yeah, baby.
So that ended up being a pretty juicy haul, and soon I was launching another rocket that would increase my heat production by a further 1000%. But even better, some uranium asteroids came for a visit. To further explain the rocket multipliers, each rocket is not multiplicative with other rockets, it's additive. So the 2 heat rockets I'd launched added together to provide a 2000% or 20 times multiplier to my heat production. The 20 times multiplier obviously applies to whatever heat I'm generating from machines, which at this point was whatever I had cooking from the tier 3 heaters in my attic, plus some bonus heat from the ore miner and drills. Add all that heat generation up and times it by 20, that was how much heat I was pumping out. And whenever I added more heat producing machines, the heat from those would also be times by 20. Anyway, I ended up with a good haul of uranium, and I finally had a look over at this cliffy biome that I'd somehow ignored up until this point, even though it was quite close to my base. It appeared I'd be able to climb up and find some goodies, so this was definitely going to be worth a revisit. But for now, I admired my algae, which was doing its best to contribute to the biomass on the planet, but I was definitely struggling in that area with only a pathetic 4 kilograms so far. I crafted some uranium rods, and my ore miner plus the aluminium I'd managed to bring back gave me the super alloys necessary. And so 2 more tier 1 nuclear generators were made, and I had some more power margin to work with.
Oh, a flower spreader? Fertilizer. Where do I get fertilizer from?
I placed a second algae floaty here, and a 4th tier 3 veggie tube to make use of my newest golden seed.
I guess I gotta make a bio lab, right?
As I was figuring out where to place it, I unlocked the tier 2 biodome.
Oh, this produces heaps of oxygen. I need bacteria samples and fertilizer though. Where the hell do I get that from?
Fortunately, I was about to build the answer to that question, the bio lab.
What can I do with this thing? Oh, here we go. This is where we... Oh, mushroom. Wait.
Some of the recipes in the biolab needed algae, so I headed out to investigate the algae generators, and I discovered it can be collected from the surrounding environment underwater.
Well, I can make explosive powder. What am I using that for again? Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I made some explosive powder out of sulfur and iridium. I deconstructed 3 tier 1 generators to claim their uranium rods back, and with that I could make a tier 2 nuclear generator, which made use of those same 3 nuclear rods to create about 80 extra power. It also got me back a bunch of super alloy.
Look at all this extra super alloy I have now. Absolutely beautiful.
I expanded my base out, added some storage, and some more algae had grown, so I grabbed it and added even more storage in the biolab. I then spent a little time making sure the base looked okay from the outside.
Fertilizer. Boom. And then I can use that to make a flower spreader.
And so down one went. It wanted a seed, so I stole one of the golden seeds from a veggie tube to up the O2 generation.
And it's making a lot of plants. That doubled my O2 production.
And it increased my plant production tenfold, so I immediately added 3 more food growers and placed an eggplant seed in each, because I was going to need more of these disgusting vegetables to make more fertilizer. It was then time for another uranium rocket, which of course proved fruitful, increasing the heat generation and delivering some nuclear deliciousness. However, these uranium nugs stuck on the cliff were very rude.
I can't get them. They're magical. I'm looking right at them, but I can't get them. No.
And in the excitement to scoop up delicious uranium, I'd forgotten to bring an O2 capsule with me, so this happened.
Whoops.
I managed to find a few more, and even better,
There's a golden chest here as well. Yes, with a full rod in it. Yes. You know what? The water's rising kind of fast. Is my whole base going to go underwater anyway?
I was able to craft 2 more uranium rods, and so went down another big green chonker.
Another tier 2 nuclear power thingo. Woohoo!
I harvested some eggplants and used the last of my sulfur to make more fertilizer. I placed down a second water collector because a bunch of the biolab and biomass recipes required water, so I needed to up production. And I collected a bunch of cobalt because I kept running out due to constantly using it to make O2 capsules. I also realized there was a chest full of stuff here from when I died. Even more uranium.
My focus on heat gets up to 41. That'll give me tier 4 drill, and then I can go back for pressure, which is lagging behind big time.
I wanted to scale O2 as well, and thankfully some water was ready, so I was able to place a second flower spreader, which of course got the golden seed. And then it was an eggplant and water waiting game before I'd be able to make more. But I was able to expand upstairs and add 3 tier 3 heaters, which only produced 28.5 heat per second. But times that by 30 thanks to the 3 uranium rockets I'd launched, and these added close to 900 each. With that, my terraforming was finally moving along at a respectable pace once more.
Even after adding a bunch of stuff, I still got 352 power to spare, okay.
I obviously wanted to make a good use of all that spare power, so I headed to the stinky biome, claimed a bunch more sulfur, and a chest I'd missed earlier.
A good haul, a good haul.
Sulfur meant more fertilizer, which I decided to use along with 4 bioplastic nuggets I'd found to make tier 2 algae generators.
But that's 350 ppq, and the plants is the big thing, 23 grams a second.
Using the fertilizer to make flower spreaders would have meant more oxygen, but I assumed these would produce more algae than the tier 1s, and I needed heaps of algae for biolab recipes.
The biomass, overall biomass increasing is going to get me where I need to get. It's going to take me ages to get to 80 tons to get beehives, but we'll get there eventually.
I headed to the craggy biome as I needed a restock of materials.
Oh, uranium in there. There we go. Off to a good start.
There was aluminium in the cracks, so I grabbed that, and I made my way to the crashed ship. And once I got atop the cliffs, super alloy was just lying around. So this was one of those I wish I came here sooner situations. The ship, of course, had juicy loot too. As usual, way too much for me to carry, so back I went with the best of it. One of the blueprint chips I found unlocked tier 3 agility boots.
Oh yes. Oh, I can make them as well. Explosive powder. Hell yeah. I can make them immediately.
And so I did, and it's always a joy to run a little bit faster. I also made the tier 4 mining speed chip.
Boom. Next stage is moss. Okay, so that's a full lake. All right, well, I was correct in my prediction of how high the water would go, so that's a relief. We're going towards moss reasonably quickly. That stage there just took me so long though. I did spend a lot of time moving my base, and then I felt like I got stuck power-wise. Maybe I was supposed to find more uranium somewhere, and it would have been easier to get my power scaled faster.
I headed back to that same crash site and filled my inventory pretty much instantly, and then I realized the shelf over here was also littered with super alloy, so it was definitely going to be another return visit.
Yeah, the mushrooms are for bioplastic nuggets.
I'd found 1 mushroom seed, so into a grower it went. And the tier 2 algae growers certainly do produce way more algae.
What do I need for the algae again? You know what? I should make the blueprint pinner because I keep mucking around trying to remember blueprints and it's just stupid.
I did so, and was now able to pin blueprints in the top left to save me bumbling around like a goose quite so much. I had the materials to make 3 more tier 1 fertilizer, which meant 3 more flower growers, all of which I gave a golden seed. Heaps more O2, and finally some respectable plant growth. I didn't have to spread these around so much, but it felt right to make the ground around my base as pretty as possible. I made 5 more food growers upstairs, 4 with eggplant seeds and 1 with squash seeds, as I was going to need squash for tier 2 fertilizer. I then experimented with miners. I placed one in the craggy biome.
Just gonna leave it there and see if it does get any aluminium or any super alloy.
And I placed one in the iridium cave with immediate results. It was indeed mining iridium. Great news.
What'd you manage to dig up? Did you get any aluminium? No, it doesn't look good. I don't think I want to build it here.
I instead headed out this way and placed one in the osmium cave, but it didn't work either, though this was just a tier 1 miner, so I wondered if perhaps tier 1s can't get the rarer materials. On the plus side, some ice had melted and there was more sulfur and osmium here to grab, and a way through to a completely new area.
Oh, what is this business? This is new. Pulsar quartz.
I poked around a little bit before giving up on this miner placement and instead placing it in the Freaky Rocks area. I wasn't hopeful it'd dig up anything too exciting, but I left it there as an experiment before heading home, fresh out of O2 canisters.
Find and insert fuses into this to boost the performance of nearby machines. Oh, I've only got 69 kilowatts available now. I've been using up my wattage.
I crafted a bioplastic nuggie. I stole one back from the tier 1 algae generator. And with that, I was able to make a lake water collector, which is faster and can hold more than the other water collectors I'd been using. I kept one of those anyway, just as a backup. I placed another flower grower, and my heat finally got high enough to unlock the tier 4 drill. These produce a huge amount of pressure, but they're rather expensive. I just had enough uranium for another tier 2 nuclear generator, and I had enough osmium for 3 tier 4 drills. But I was gonna need a whopping 18 super alloys, and I was pretty much always running low on those. Fortunately, I knew of a spot to find some.
Yeah, I didn't get all the way up there, that's for sure. How do you get all the way up there?
That was a great haul, so down went a tier 4 drill.
That's a big boy drill. That's 459. And it produces a decent amount of heat. It produces as much heat as a tier 3 heater.
And I added 2 more.
My pressure is dominating now. Alright, so now that the pressure is actually moving quickly, it should get to 100 MPa pretty quickly, and then we can get gas. I think that's where I should be able to get methane. Could have got this a while ago, I think. Provides geolocation to the mapping screen.
So now I had a map happening.
It's cool to look top down on my base.
I had a quick crafting session and placed down a 3rd tier 2 algae generator. And I had a few hundred kilos of biomass by this point, so that was something. As the terraforming index screamed past the 100 million mark, I headed out exploring and saw a crack.
I see a crack. I see a crack. Where does it lead? Oh, we finally found uranium.
I love it when I find uranium in the crack. I haven't mentioned it, but I was prone to losing my bearings in this game, because after a couple of hours pass, it's like, wait, where was that cave again? So I finally made use of a beacon to mark this uranium cave, because I intended to return with an ore miner. Except I'm a goose and wrote iridium instead of uranium for some reason.
Just a bit of a trek running around, you know? Need a faster jetpack.
I then somehow ended up on top of a cliff, and it was creepy up there. Also, look at my beautiful base. I found a rocket while out and about, so I made a pressure multiplier rocket. Algae and eggplants were piling up, so I made some more storage, and I used a bunch of said delicious fruits to place 4 more flower spreaders. I did not have golden seeds for these, but they still put in pretty good work. About 15 seconds later,
there we go, I just got the tier 2 flower spreader. I just made a bunch of tier 1 flower spreaders. You know what? It's not that expensive.
So I tore down my tier 1s and used their materials to make tier 2s.
Which made 5 tier 2 flower spreaders.
They produce more than double the O2 and 4 times the plants, so this was a good deal. I placed a beacon at base to ensure I always knew my way home, and as I ventured out once more, I noticed some green.
Moss. How close am I to moss? I think I'm more than halfway now.
I placed another beacon, and I checked out the miner in the freaky rock biome. It did not get me anything exciting. I tore it down and moved it to the uranium cave, hoping for more luck there.
How did I label it the wrong thing? Uranium, you dingus. Yeah, let's go investigate this thing. What's down here though? Random crater? Oh, what is this? Huh? A secret base.
The secret base was quite generous loot-wise, and I discovered a message from someone named Iklas.
It's been 6 months since the crash, and I'm barely surviving. The planet is cursed. I can feel it. Really?
He mentioned a deconstructible wall in a crash somewhere, so I took note and planned to check for that in my exploration. And it was interesting to discover evidence of some other intrepid goose on the loose's efforts surviving on this planet. I found another osmium cave and claimed some blue candy, and there was some random pulsar quartz in here too.
Hey, pressure multiplier fuse. Cool.
I found yet another impressive piece of space debris.
Oh, another fuse. Oxygen multiplier one.
And it was cool to see just how different the landscape was beginning to look as the terraformation index ticked up towards 200 million. The pulsar quartz tooltip says they contain tremendous amounts of power, so I was stoked to have found so many, as I assumed they contribute to an even better power generator soon enough.
Machine optimizer. Hell yeah.
Now that I had a fuse, it was worth my while to make one of these. I chose to place the first one near the flower spreaders and whacked the fuse with a 500% oxygen multiplier in there.
These machine optimizer thingos can only help 5 machines, so I've got them helping 5 tier 2 flower spreaders. And now they're producing almost double.
They were already receiving a 6 times boost from their golden seeds, so with that combined with the benefit of the fuse, they were getting 11 times. Very nice. I placed a biomass screen so I could keep tabs on my unimpressive biomass efforts, and I wrangled the materials to make a second machine optimizer, because I of course had one more fuse, a pressure multiplier. Now this multiplication was insane. My 3 tier 4 drills had been producing 459 pressure each, times 20 from the 2 rockets in orbit, but the 5 times multiplier from the fuse shot their base generation up to 2,300. So they had been generating 459 times 20, but now they were generating 459 times 5 times 20, or 459 times 100. Big mathematic.
Pressure was so far behind for so long, but now it's so far ahead. It's crazy how far ahead it is. Yeah, if we just wait a sec, we're gonna unlock a couple of things. Here's the gas extractor. automatically gets gas. I need zeolite for that though. The pressure is going to get me towards the tier 2 ore extractor pretty quick. All right, we got the tier 4 heater now as well, which is... it's not too expensive.
I managed to craft one tier 4 heater before running low on iridium, and I was disappointed that this miner here was a bit of a goose and had only mined up 2 iridium, but I managed to place a second heater regardless.
Couple of big boys over there producing heat. Still going to take quite a while to get to nuclear fusion though.
I was chugging towards the flora stage pretty quickly, so the overall terraforming was swift, but I definitely wanted to increase the heat output to get towards nuclear fusion, which based on its pinkness, I guessed involved pulsar quartz and the production of way more power. Even though I'd managed to expend my power a lot, I had almost run out again already.
Surely we get some uranium from this, right? Surely. No uranium? Come on, dude.
Sadly, I think the tier 1 miner is incapable of mining up uranium, so I was going to struggle to expand my uranium-based power, and so I definitely needed to get my heat sped up. It took me a minute to figure out how to get into this monstrosity, but I eventually found this entrance. And you know the drill. Dark, spooky shipwreck, lots of juicy loot. I found another oxygen fuse, and my inventory was full in about 5 seconds. I found some lore about the big ring thing.
Today was the inauguration of the space warp gate. It took 2 years to build and was to finally allow us to easily across the sector. As soon as we turned on the main power reactor, everything went wrong, and the spaceship was inexplicably drawn to the closest planet. Can't understand what happened. This shouldn't have happened.
This seemed to indicate that there was something weird about this planet that caused ships to malfunction and crash. I found a big fusion reactor that seemed to be inviting me to place a fusion core in it to power up who knows what, and I found a door that led to an underwater area where I found another fuse. I had a look around nearby and found another spot blocked by explodable rocks. On the way home, I found another fuse, and as I arrived home, I unlocked the tier 2 jetpack. So I made one. This made it a little faster and capable of reaching a little higher. That expedition earned me 2 uranium rods, so I tore down a tier 1 nuclear generator to claim back its rod, and placed down another tier 2. I'd also collected enough iridium to place 3 more tier 4 heaters, so that was another huge boost, and my terraformation index was going nuts.
So it should get me to a nuclear fusion generator pretty soon, and it's possible that this saves me uranium rods.
Which would be delicious, as I'd be able to repurpose those rods to make more machine optimizers with which to make the most of the recent influx of fuses.
The tier 2 ore extractor, I need super alloy rods. I'll get that pretty soon actually. Extracts rarer ores. It costs so much energy though. That's crazy.
By the way, a lot of the super alloys I needed I crafted myself, which involved grabbing one of each common ore from their individual chests and taking them over to the advanced crafter. It was a bit of a mission. I placed some more tier 2 flower spreaders, and I reached the flora level.
DNA manipulator to create new genes? What the hell, dude?
I needed zeolite for quite a few recipes now, but apparently the arrival of flora answered that need.
Hey! Zeolite has appeared. There's super alloy rods. Getting some flowers growing here. It's beautiful, you know? I've conducted a deep scan of the planet and something is off. I'm getting strange geological signatures, incoherent topographical data near your location. Try to get to this place.
Okay, Riley, but first...
Boom. Boom. I don't know if 2 at once was the play. Come on, you can break free. Break free. Yep, that one disappeared.
That was another increase to my heat production, and a cheeky influx of uranium.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Ooh, enough for a few rods, which meant I could have made more nuclear power and scaled up even more, but I was in the mood for more exploring.
Oh, I can climb. I had a feeling. Arima plant. Okay, 450% plant.
I climbed about and collected my fill.
Ooh, tier 2 fertilizer. Ooh, what is all this? Hit me in the face. Hit me in the face, I dare you. Are they dropping anything? I don't think they're dropping anything. I got hit by an asteroid? I just got an achievement, get hit by an asteroid. Pretty sure I didn't get hit by an asteroid, but that's fine.
The terminal on this crashed vessel further indicated that an unusually high number of ships were crashing in this sector, and I found more juicy loot.
Can we stop with the infinite asteroids, man?
I swam into this puddle and claimed some osmium and sulfur, and I climbed my way up this waterfall hoping to find something, but all I found was moisture. And once I was back at base, I placed down 2 more tier 2 nuclear generators. I also placed an orbital info screen to help me keep track of my rockets. As you can see, at this point I'd sent up 5 heat rockets and 2 pressure rockets. It was getting to a point where I needed more bioplastic nuggets, so I placed more food growers and planted mushrooms, as bioplastic nugs are made from these. And now that I had some zeolite, I was able to place a gas extractor. extractor.
We're getting some methane cartridges now.
I also placed a DNA manipulator.
I can do some tree shenanigans.
This is where you create tree seeds to be used in tree growers. Even though I'd expanded my power a fair bit, all the machines now used a heap of power, so it was still a bit of a waiting game until I unlocked the next power generators. And I also just needed pretty much every resource, so I headed out. I found another buried base, and there was another message from Iklas, lamenting his depressing plight stranded on the planet. And I revisited this crash site to claim a bag full of loot. I needed heaps of iridium, and I was surprised to realize there was a lot in the nearby cave that I hadn't collected. And I had my first asteroid storm that was rather blue, and I figured blue would mean osmium, and yes indeed, totally random free sky osmium. I also found uranium lying around that I guess I missed from my earlier uranium rocket Silly Willies. The osmium asteroids came with some sulfur too. I placed another machine optimizer with an O2 fuse in it, and added more flower spreaders, so there were 5 here to benefit from the fuse.
Well, that's another huge boost to my O2 shenanigans.
I headed out and discovered a big old viney thingo had sprouted in the nearby iridium cave, so up I went.
Ugh. Ugly. What a view. What a nice base. Beautiful.
There was a bunch of zeolite up here, and a chest bearing excellent loot.
Oh, a heat multiplier. That's what we need.
It was handy to claim fertilizer and explosive powder too, because not having to craft so many was a big bonus. With the last of the uranium I had on hand, I managed to plonk down another machine optimizer to get my heaters chugging along with a 500% bonus from the fuse I just found, and with that the heat was surging nicely. It chewed up the last stretch needed to unlock the nuclear fusion generator in no time.
There we go. This is kind of cool. Paradiso. But let's just check over here. What is this strange business?
Inside this cave, there was indeed some strange business. There were a bunch of super alloys around, which was delicious, but that wasn't the strange part. This was...
Find a weird door in a cave. Oh. That is a weird door in a cave. This is indicative of some kind of technology. Someone built this, right?
This was the first evidence I'd found of civilization on the planet. Most intriguing.
Unlocked air filter. We've got the trees level. Does that kind of mean unlimited O2? I think it is.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to the terraformation index, but we were now dealing in GTI. So we just hit 2 billion. All the machine optimizing had really paid off.
This generates 1485 energy a second. Holy crap, what does it cost?
5 pulsar quartz, and I had 8 of those, so down went immediately. This little pink machine produces 4.5 times as much energy as the enormous green machines. Great news. With way more power on the menu, I pulled together the materials to make a tier 2 ore miner. I had to make a super alloy rod, which uses a whopping 8 super alloys. And after all this time, super alloy was definitely still the material I needed most. So I headed to the cave where I'd just found a bunch and hoped for the best.
Oh, hell yeah. Alright, we're leaving this here and we'll let it get super alloy.
This was a huge moment in the playthrough, as automating a collection of these made crafting so much easier. I visited the luscious area over here where I found a uranium cave, so I collected a bunch.
Okay, we got the auto crafter.
And as I emerged to find this river along the bottom of the canyon, I spotted something pink.
Oh, hello.
Outside the cave was a glorious chest.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, that's a chest.
And once I headed inside, I earned the achievement for discovering the rainbow caves. I wasn't getting rainbow vibes though, I was getting singularly pink vibes, until I headed through this way and discovered a purple version of quartz.
Magnetar quartz. I guess we got some spots to do some mining. So many iridium rods. Pressure multiplier fuse.
Further through, some blue, and further still, some yellow.
Solar quartz. It's all different types of quartz. What the hell's going on? This bears some repeat visits, obviously.
But for now, my priority was most definitely pulsar quartz, with which I'd be able to make more nuclear fusion generators. I grabbed some methane from the gas extractor and made mutagen. And I'd found a tree bark on my travels, so I combined it with the mutagen and a lerma seed in the DNA manipulator and hit research.
Okay, we're making a tree seed. Reduces oxygen consumption depending on the level of terraformation.
I had what I needed to make that, meaning my O2 tank would now last me longer while exploring. I realized I could have used the tree bark to send up either an O2 or plant rocket, so I was regretting using it to make a random tree seed I couldn't even use yet, but then I realized the tier 2 biodome actually generates tree bark. I could have made one of these ages ago, I have no idea why I didn't, but I tore down my tier 1 biodome and put one here, and added a second connected to the back of the biolab. Before long, I had some more tree bark.
I'm actually gonna get biomass happening now.
Yes indeed, a 1250% multiplier wouldn't hurt to make the most of the plants being made by my flower spreaders. On day 36, I went and checked on my super alloy miner, and I was pretty happy with the results. I swung by for some iridium on the way home too. With tree bark coming in thick and fast, I was able to put together an O2 rocket using bacteria samples and mutagen.
Alright, there goes an O2 rocket. It's got a literal bush in it.
It was nice to finally have some O2 rocket multiplier action. I had some mushrooms piling up from my farming efforts, so I made a few bioplastic nuggets, and with super alloy coming in from my new miner, I was able to make another super alloy rod, with which I built another tier 2 miner, this one in the stinky area to secure me a renewable sulfur source. And finally, I was beginning to feel somewhat rich in resources, allowing me to place a tier 2 miner in the osmium cave too.
What is that? Uncommon lava. Oh, use it in the incubator to create new species.
Insects were beginning to appear, which honestly is kind of a terrible thing, but I guess they're essential to a thriving ecosystem, so I'll allow it. I had not officially reached insect stage yet though, but I was already halfway.
Wait, I've unlocked everything I can from heat. Teleports you between places. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
The teleporter unlocks at 25 GTI, and I was at just over 5, so this was motivation to speed up even more. I placed an incubator with which you can create various insect larvae and fish eggs, but I couldn't actually use any of that just yet, so I held off incubating anything and instead decided to go hunt down the coordinates Riley had sent me a while back. I ended up out this way, where I spotted something.
What is that? Is that lava? It was minus 248.
But I was focused on the coordinates, so I ignored the lava for now. While I wasn't completely focused, I still picked up any good loot I saw, but eventually I spotted the entrance to a strange new biome, pretty much at the coordinates Riley had sent.
I think this is where it was leading me. There's upside down mushrooms?
I found more evidence of a disappeared civilization.
There's a watermill here? Hold on. Warden's altar? What the hell?
The altar wanted an item of some sort, which I guessed would unlock the door.
This underground cave is a blessing for us wardens. It has a lot of resources and is underground, allowing us to stay hidden. This place has been chosen really carefully, and now I understand why I can't wait to start building our settlement and fulfilling our destiny.
So perhaps the wardens weren't natives. They'd been sent here to colonize, and they thought there was something special about the planet. I explored the area, and soon this tree drew my attention. In front of it was an altar holding the warden's key, and coordinates for the other altar that I just found. I took the key straight back there and placed it on the altar, and the door slowly opened for me.
Hello? What the heck?
I headed through the strange archways and came upon a many-pillared room with 2 stone tablets to read from.
We were struck by the resemblance at first. We were almost exactly the same. A few spaceships turned into dozens, and slowly our worries grew. Our main differences were hidden deep inside. Biologically, we were identical, but our minds had been shaped differently, by fate or by nature. The fact is that when we realized it, it was already too late.
So the wardens had met people identical to them, but it seems these strangers weren't to be trusted, which was confirmed by the second tablet, which told of how they chose to flee.
To go as far away as possible and build a new home, far from the terror, far from the strife, far from them. Okay, so there's some kind of friction between 2 races. The wardens lived here originally, and then... Holy crap.
I don't know what this ship was, but I couldn't seem to get over to it, and jumping off seemed like a bad idea. So I backtracked and headed down another corridor, at the end of which I found another warden key, and some more coordinates, which I noted down.
That was quite a revelation. What the heck's going on? The wardens.
I searched the rest of the mushroomy area, but it seemed I'd seen everything there was to see. So I headed out, and on the way home I spotted a mountain with a big waterfall tumbling off its side. I decided to check if there was anything behind the waterfall.
Oh. There's something behind the waterfall. What is all this? Are these gravestones? What is this place? Oh. What was supposed to be a fun, relaxing time turned into a nightmare.
Here was yet more evidence of a crashed ship that fell into a catastrophe under unusual circumstances. I hadn't been over this way before, so I explored a little more and found a big fat meteor crater.
Okay, there's a few things to explore over this way, that's for sure. This is the way to my base. Yeah, look how close to my house I am. It's just up this way. Can I climb through there? I can climb through there. I got a shortcut that way. Okay, sick. We can explore that easily then.
I'm pretty sure that passage had been blocked off earlier, but the big tree roots shooting up had created a way through, which was convenient.
It's so cool to see it all transform. Like, look how sick that canyon-y area looks.
I stored the warden key for now, as I decided to leave that for another day. I noted that I needed some obsidian for a tier 2 machine optimizer.
Some sulfur, please? Oh yeah, that's a good load of sulfur.
And I tried to place a storage locker during an asteroid storm.
Can you stop it? I'm trying to place a chest, dude.
I used that sulfur to make more fertilizer, which I used to place more flower growers, all of which I gave 400% multiplier seeds. And now that I was working with fertilizer and bacteria a lot, I was often in the water harvesting algae. But I changed my mind about these flower spreaders because I realized I'd unlocked something.
Tree spreader.
Turns out these have to be placed on water.
Tree spreader. Okay, it needs a tree seed. Boom.
Even with the unimpressive 125% multiplier tree seed I'd put in there, this still produced almost as much O2 as my flower spreaders were producing, even though the flower spreaders had the benefit of a machine optimizer. And the tree spreader also produced double the plants. I had a crafting session to get more tree seeds cooking, I reached insects level, and the next level on the horizon was breathable O2.
New blueprint received, trade space rocket.
I added 2 more tree spreaders and a machine optimizer, as I still had a spare O2 fuse. Suddenly, this was pulling absolutely outrageous O2 numbers. I gave a seed to one of the new ones, and as you can see, some trees were indeed being spread. I added another water collector, and with that I'd run low on super alloy once again, so I had a quick trip to the miner.
Okay, exoskeleton 3. Boom. 4 more slots. So this means I'm not gonna have to carry water around me ever again?
Yes indeed, I also made a water filter, and it let me slurp water straight out of the lake. Absolutely delicious. The trees right outside my base were getting a little out of hand, so I moved them further away, and by this point I had a 3rd seed, so all 3 were producing O2 and plants like crazy, especially once I replaced the machine optimizer.
And now I no longer have trees clipping into my base, which I think is positive.
After a whole bunch more running around like a goose crafting, 2 more tree spreaders went down, and even though I hadn't officially unlocked the recipe, I experimented placing a golden seed in the DNA manipulator to see what kind of tree seed that would produce.
Oh, it's got a 350% multiplier. Hell yeah, this is gonna get so much oxygen.
Yes indeed, an 850% multiplier total compared to the previous 625. And so I began the process of collecting up all my golden seeds and turning them into tree seeds, because the multiplier was definitely better used buffing up the tree spreader O2. I had 3 rockets lying around, so I got busy with the good stuff.
Plant rocket. Launch. Seed rocket. Launch. Seed rocket. Launch. Off you go, guys. That's the way. 3,000% oxygen and 3,750 plant.
Very nice. My plants had finally earned their first unlock, the beehive.
We're making a bee. We're making a bee.
By the way, the farm upstairs had a big hand in fueling this bio revolution, and I realized I had the materials to craft some rockets, so I made 4 more. After yet another visit to my ore miners, I sent up a plant rocket and 2 pressure rockets. I collected random osmium that had fallen from the sky, I kept giving the tree spreaders the improved seeds I was crafting, and I sent up a tier 1 GPS rocket. This promised to show points of interest on my map, and by points of interest, I guess it meant mining spots.
What do you mean osmium there? Are you telling me I can set up my osmium mine there? I guess so. Well, the world has changed. My GTI is going up a lot faster.
Apparently I didn't bother investigating the potential osmium source, and instead got back to creating life.
There's bees in here. Hello, bee larva.
I put in a rare lava I'd found next to see what that would cook up. I used the bee larva to place a beehive, which generated an impressive 350 grams a second of plants, and my first insects at 15 grams a second. It also produced honey. Check out my little forest over this way. Very beautiful.
Okay, we got the panga butterfly larva.
More algae, more fertilizer, give me more butterfly larva, why not? I'd unlocked the butterfly dome, which was unnecessarily enormous as far as I was concerned, but it needed some residents, and it could fit 2. So I was able to get a good multiplier going, and with that I began producing another 92 grams a second of insect biomass.
That's a lot of butterflies, hell yeah. Make high quality food out of honey and beans now? Hell yeah. What? Tier 2 tree spreader already? Goodness gracious, how the hell?
They needed tier 2 fertilizer, which I was able to craft, and zeolite, which I'd collected a bunch of. So I ripped down the tier 1 trees and placed the tier 2s. These were allowed on land, so I placed them here. I gave them the same seed and machine optimizer treatment the tier 1s had gotten, and so it was basically the exact same deal, just much bigger numbers. I'd harvested honey by this point, so I made my first high quality food.
High quality honey beans, man. Glorious.
The tree revolution was a good burst of productivity. My beans were now sweeter. An even bigger forest was forming, and I celebrated with the launch of a tier 2 GPS rocket. This just let me zoom out a bit more on my map. And looking at my map reminded me of the nearby osmium spot. So I went to the less nearby osmium spot where I had my miner. I tore that down, and the map had provided intel that aluminium could be mined here. So I whacked a tier 2 miner down, and then I headed to where the map was showing osmium.
Oh, it's this cave.
You may recall I'd spotted this ice-blocked cave like 40 days ago. Well, the ice had well and truly melted. I placed a tier 2 miner here as well for a much closer osmium source. A bit further through there was a zeolite cave too, where I claimed some respectable loot from a chest, and even further through was an exit.
My oxygen is lasting so long, by the way. I'm on the other side of the dusty crab.
Yes indeed, the things you see when you explore the great outdoors. But as usual, my bags were full, so I headed home before venturing further. I'd brought enough materials for one more tier 2 miner, so on the way I placed one here, and I was amazed to discover I'd I'd actually run out of power. I was beginning to think the pink thing I'd built was gonna last forever, but I guess not. I tore the miner down for now, and I had enough pulsar quartz for 2 more of these, so the power issue was handily solved immediately. That used up most of my super alloy again, so when I went to restock this time, I placed another miner to double the super alloy collecting efforts.
Oh, there's a teleporter blueprint. Oh, I need obsidian. Teleports you between places. It's quite a lot of energy. Tier 2 miner there and there. We've got a tier 1 miner there. We've got a tier 2 miner for aluminium. And we got 2 tier 2 miners over this way getting super alloy. It'd be good to get another miner there for zeolite. Yeah, okay, I want the auto crafter. Give me an auto crafter.
And so I finally placed an auto crafter. This thing reaches nearby storage in a decent radius, and it can access whatever is in that storage to craft whatever you tell it to craft.
It's reaching my pickable food grower stuff.
So it reached upstairs too. It did not quite reach all of my downstairs storage though, so I moved it over here for now and wondered if perhaps my entire base needed a rework to accommodate these things. As you can imagine, this auto crafter made things way easier. I'd been juggling inventories constantly in order to craft items, and some items take 6 or 7 or even 9 components, so it was a genuine mission. But now all I had to do was dump all the items in nearby lockers and tell this thing to craft away. On day 45, I placed my first tier 2 food growers to grow some squash, as I needed squash for tier 2 fertilizer. I moved my gas extractors here so the auto crafter could reach them, and I crafted up a storm all day long until I had what I needed to launch 3 more O2 rockets.
You can do it. I believe in you. That's the way. Over there.
The rockets going all over the place never gets old. And on day 46, after even more of a crafting spree, I placed down 5 tier 3 tree spreaders, which I'd somehow unlocked already, and I gave them a machine optimizer, of course.
So these are tier 2s, so they got 2 green bits. Tier 3, 3 green bits, baby, and then we put the 350% multiplier on them. 72.25 ppt per second, and 1.25 kilos per second of plants as well, which is not too bad, especially when you consider the 50 times multiplier on both of those things. Actually, we've got 60 times multiplier on the oxygen. So the oxygen should be absolutely flying now.
Look how fast the terraformation index was going up. Very juicy. By the way, I'd reached the breathable atmosphere stage by this point, so I no longer needed my O2 tank, unless I went underwater, I guess. The bag space saved by not having to carry water or O2 capsules was most excellent.
It almost feels like it's not worth trying to invest in insects too much until my plants get up to like butterfly farms, and maybe that's where you can get like heaps of insects from there.
I could have made a bunch of beehives, but honestly I could not be bothered running around to find uncommon lava on the ground with which to craft bee lava. I instead returned to the rainbow caves in hopes I could mine up some pulsar quartz. Alas, it was not to be. Turns out it can't be mined at all. It can be crafted later on, but for now I had to rely on what I could find exploring. Since I was here, I of course took the opportunity to collect what I'd missed earlier. I checked out this crashed ship, which reminded me I still hadn't unlocked explosives, and I poked around this luscious biome some more but didn't find too much else, except for another random entrance to the rainbow caves, featuring some green quartz. I had no idea what all the random colors of quartz were for, by the way, but of course they ended up having various uses later. I climbed out of the lush up to this area, where it was further reinforced that I really could use some explosives. I found a few chests as I went. In fact, the amount of good stuff I had to leave behind is just silly, but I took this osmium rod. I'd never found one of these before, and I was very happy to finally find another blueprint chip. It had been a while, and maybe I'd unlock explosives. I also found my first chunk of obsidian.
35 GTI while I've been running around, by the way.
Yes, indeed. In the space of about 1 in-game day, I'd almost doubled my entire terraforming efforts. Such was the power of those outrageously powerful tier 3 tree spreaders, and my recent O2 rockets.
Look at this forest.
Oh dear. I told you the tier 3 tree spreaders were powerful. They literally took over my base.
I don't think I realized how much of a tree menace those things are. I'm gonna have to move those.
Evidently, I also found a second blueprint chip in my wanderings, because I unlocked 2 recipes when I got home. No explosives, sadly, but I was happy to claim a tier 3 jetpack.
Alright, what else have we unlocked? The drone station activates the logistics system and enables drone creation.
That sounds absolutely glorious. Also, pink asteroid.
Coming straight for me, by the way. Boom. Ow.
I could not mine pulsar quartz, but at least this guy was willing to shoot some at my head. Trees, anyone? I launched a tier 3 GPS rocket, and I made a map microchip.
So now I can just whack M and I'm on. Hell yeah.
I could also move around the map, so effectively the whole map was now visible.
We reached the fish level. Amphibians next.
I placed a couple more tier 4 drills and launched 3 pressure rockets because I was keen to unlock the tier 3 ore miner from the pressure blueprint list as soon as possible. I headed out exploring on day 49 and discovered trees had overtaken the center of this crater. Under the water, I found a ladder down to an underground bunker where I found a production multiplier fuse, which when used in a machine optimizer increases the speed at which production machines work. This bunker was built by Iklas, who apparently gets around, and he wrote of his plans to also build a base partway up the edge of the crater, which I soon found, signposted by a couple of cheeky solar panels. I headed in to investigate. I had to deconstruct quite a few dodgy doors to forge a way through.
Bro, what is buried down here? Can't get past the iron on the floor.
My bag was already full from before because that's just what happens whenever you explore. Your inventory magically fills up. So this iron on the floor business was actually rather annoying to deal with. I read another depressed note from Iklas, who clearly did it tough during his time here. And I of course found heaps of loot and played a torturous game of what precious goodies must I leave behind.
Sending message attempt. Okay, so he was trying to send messages for help. Poor your class.
I found my way down to old mate's living quarters, where I found 100 Terra tokens, and you'll notice I prioritized taking as much mutagen as possible. This ended up being a great idea, because I barely had to craft any mutagen of my own the entire playthrough.
There's something really strange about this planet. I can't put my finger on it, but the more time I spend here, the more I want to stay. It's nonsense. You know what? I kind of relate. You had so much loot as well, bro.
Bro really did have so much loot. The biggest of the wins were a couple more fuses and 4 blueprint chips.
Tier 2 deconstruction, yes. Explosive, yes. Unlocked circuit board. Oh, these aren't too bad to make.
After placing a wall here and using it as a backdrop for some more storage, I unlocked pulsar quartz.
Osmium, zeolite, iridium, uranium, methane. Kind of expensive, you know.
And I headed out with my tier 2 deconstructor to revisit some wrecks, because I hoped my new toy would be able to salvage from these techie looking things.
Yeah, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Yep, circuit boards. Woohoo!
I found another area of this ship I somehow missed before, including yet another message about how something inexplicable went wrong, causing them to crash land here. I began cooking up silkworms in the incubator, and I headed out once again in search of circuit boards. I ended up back in Iklas's massive base on the side of the crater, where I collected tons of loot. I placed a tier 2 ore extractor to begin collecting zeolite, and I finally headed towards the lava I'd glimpsed earlier. This was probably overdue, but down went a tier 2 miner and obsidian was on its way. While I was visiting, I picked up my fill of obsidian that was just lying around. I explored a toasty cave, and obsidian would have been useful quite a while ago, so I said,
should have come here earlier, man. There was nothing stopping me from coming here earlier. Yeah, and then we got the crash ship over there. No point going to the crash ship with a full bag already. I think when I return, try and make a teleporter here.
I dedicated a locker in which to dump the obsidian, and with some obsidian plus zeolite, osmium, super alloy rods, and pulsar quartz, I was able to make a teleporter.
At least 2 teleporters required, okay. Home. Hell yeah. Alright, we're on the move now, baby. Butterfly farm. Ooh. Butterfly farm could be huge, you know.
I placed one down, and this farm is considerably smaller than the enormous butterfly dome here, and where the dome only produces 20 grams of insects a second, the little farm produces 75 a second. So this was of course a massive upgrade to my insect production. I've made 2, in which I placed the butterfly larva I'd stolen from the deconstructed dome, granting each a 230% multiplier.
That shoots it up to 172.5 grams a second.
I then realized I could probably make some better butterfly multipliers, so I got those cooking, and I used the 2 silkworms I'd incubated to place a silk generator. I placed a few more butterfly farms in preparation, and I was disappointed I'd only managed to incubate another 230% butterfly larva.
Why has it got the same genetic sequence? It must just be a chance to get whatever. Oh, okay, yeah, so it is. I think it is just random. This time I got the 250% one. I want the 500% one, man, please.
But at least I was getting a few butterfly farms chugging along, massively boosting my biomass production.
Alright, I have a plan. I have a plan with the teleporters.
I had to grab some zeolite first, as I'd run out.
Teleporter. Boom. Hop in. Go home. Boom. Easy. Dump all the zeolite. We go back into the teleporter to this location. And then we just go yoink. Alright, this is my time to shine. This is my time to shine, baby.
Yes, indeed. I never had to worry about leaving loot behind ever again, assuming I remembered to bring the materials to build a teleporter with me wherever I went. I expanded upstairs a little and added yet more storage.
Allows you to reach distant wrecks with unique items to find.
I didn't make one of those immediately, but the portal generator ended up being hugely helpful towards completing 100% of the game.
What happens if I do this? Something's happening? It's locking it in there.
As you might expect, this restored some power to the ship, which opened some random doors. And behind those doors, yet more loot.
Can I make my teleporter on the ship for convenience, because that would be convenient. I actually can. That is so convenient. Teleporter strats are unrivaled.
Yep, I dumped my stuff and got straight back to exploring, rather than having to make the long run home like a peasant. Except in this case, I didn't head straight back out. I had a rather extensive session organizing my storage, because I was about to get an influx of goodies and I needed space to store it all. I also kept my crafting chugging along, but then I was back out there, and I found this big fat vault. This had been locked away behind the door that had opened when I placed the energy cell. So these safes are the premium reward for powering up crashed ships. I was soon done with that ship, and I headed further afield. And one beautiful thing was that when I stumbled upon random chests I'd been forced to ignore before, I could scoop all of them goodies up, thanks to the portable teleporter strat. I did an obsidian collection before carrying on.
What is this? A beautiful flower bridge? What is this fancy bridge?
There was a crashed ship by the water that I'd not yet visited, so in I went, and of course, the loot was flowing freely.
What the heck? This one's huge, I think. Well, I already filled up, so... Tier 3 deconstruction. Really?
I made one of those. I have no idea what allowed me to deconstruct beyond the electronic thingos that give circuit boards, but why not? And speaking of, I found a lot of those thingos in this shipwreck.
Hey, it's one of the quartz thingos. I'll take it. What do we got? No more blueprints to decode for now.
I guess I'd gotten every blueprint in the game, so I tried making a recycler.
Recycle a blueprint chip. I recycled a blueprint chip. And it gave me a blueprint chip.
Glorious recycling efforts aside, you get the idea. I was now collecting loot at a rather speedy rate. This particular ship required 3 energy cells, so I made those. These cost pulsar quartz, osmium, and obsidian, by the way. And soon the ship was powered up, resulting in access to some more lovely safes.
2 production multiplier ones. A bunch of Terra tokens. Take those.
This was an insanely juicy safe full of loot, and yet I was barely even impressed. I guess I was numb to riches due to the teleporter strat. Look how many fuses I had piled up. I also had plenty of rockets, so up 3 more pressure rockets went, and a couple of heat ones for good measure.
Tier 6 backpack is gonna be so good.
Here's an update on the state of my rockets in orbit, and here I go heading into the lava biome again for some more exploration. There was a rather impressive crashed ship here, and I was of course going to explore it. I hadn't crafted a single circuit board, and yet I soon had more than 1 storage locker saved up.
Tier 6 backpack, yes. Oh, I need blaze iron magnetar quartz.
I then proceeded to totally forget about the tier 6 backpack upgrade, and I used my tier 5 until the end of this playthrough, because I am a silly goose. I did at least get yet more juicy loot from another safe. On day 56, I wandered into this area, which had a crappy little base with evidence that someone else had attempted some terraforming, and when I was done poking around, I decided to leave a permanent teleporter set up next to the obsidian miner. I finally got rid of the tier 3 tree growers that were overtaking my base with trees.
I mean, I love the enormous forest, but then I don't love it because it's just engulfed my base. So we're gonna move the enormous forest.
And so I moved the enormous forest a little further away.
So now I've got a nice respectable forest over there. I feel like that's tasteful for the most part, and we'll keep the enormous forest over this way.
I finally placed a space trade rocket, which instantly earned me 4 achievements.
I've already got 10,000 Terra tokens achievement.
I guess I'd managed to collect that much from the safes in crashed ships, not too bad.
Okay, what the hell?
This is where you can buy stuff with Terra tokens, and you can sell stuff to earn Terra tokens. You can even sell cookies, apparently.
I can buy a tier 2 locker storage. That is exciting. I can buy that right now, can't I?
I had 19,700 Terra tokens, so I could indeed afford this wonderful blueprint. And I bought a few cocoa and wheat seeds along with a cooking station too. And so I sent off my first trade rocket to pick up my purchases.
Trade rocket returns in... so it takes 10 minutes to come back. Tier 3 ore extractor, finally.
Another thing my newfound abundance of circuit boards allowed me to make was a drone station, which overloaded my power, prompting me to place another pink thingo to keep me going. I placed the drone station down again.
Tier 1 drone. Demand? So this can demand... I want you to demand super alloy.
Once I grabbed some iron from a nearby miner, I was able to craft 5 tier 1 drones. I grabbed what I needed to make 2 tier 3 miners, and I headed to the super alloy spot.
So if this supplies creature DNA genetic trait, what is this stuff? Super alloy. Oh, Yeah, some drones have been designated to come get these.
Yes, indeed, that is how it works. I'd set the storage back at base to demand super alloy, and this chest was now supplying super alloy, so the drones were coming to get these to take back to base. An enormous step forward for the automation of production. I placed 2 tier 3 ore miners down, at which you're able to designate the exact material you want. So I set these to dig up exclusively super alloy, and of course set them to supply super alloy to the logistics network.
The thing is, those tier 3 miners also create 135 pressure and 202 heat is actually a lot. If I demand super alloy inside, will they bring it here too? Oh, there they are. Here they go. I think they just clipped straight through my... Yeah, they clipped straight through your base. They drop off. That's amazing. Okay, great news.
I placed a bunch more storage lockers upstairs and set them to demand super alloy too, just in case the storage downstairs filled up. And the logistics revolution was about to get even more exciting, because my trade rocket was back.
Tier 2 locker storage. So it's expensive. It's 2 super alloys. Well, super alloys aren't a problem anymore. Circuit boards are still kind of expensive. They're kind of weird looking, aren't they? But they hold so much. Yes. Yes! You can demand all the super alloy in the universe with a high priority. This it fits so much.
And so began the process of upgrading my storage.
What we do instead is we put interior walls with those in front of them on either side. Wait, I think we just reached the frog age. We did! Mammals are next. Oh yeah! Insert frog eggs to create frogs. I'm so far behind, dude. Oh, this is what I could make. Water life collector. So you can tell a machine to supply literally everything. So that's very good for this, because this is going to be making crap, and then I can just get the drones to put it away.
Yes, indeed, drone logistics is very exciting, but give me that silk. It was time to place a couple of water life collectors down, and with that, some phytoplankton was now being collected.
10% of the way to the final unlock from the looks of it. In terms of terraformation. In terms of bio stuff, I'm also almost 10% of the way. I'm getting distracted. There's so many things.
I placed a cooking station at which you can make a whole bunch of good stuff. I replaced a tier 2 obsidian miner with tier 3 and added its storage to logistics, of course. I was on a rampage of adding every chest in the universe to the network, and I managed to pull together 2 bee larvae with which I made my first outdoor farm, where I planted some wheat seeds.
Wait, what's this rocket? Wait, what?
This is the tier 4 GPS satellite that I made and forgot to launch. I don't think this rocket really did much, so I might as well not have launched it. Anyway, I continued upgrading my storage, and I was grateful I'd managed to hoard quite a few circuit boards, which combined with the now regular flow of drone transported super alloys, meant I was free to make a ton of tier 2 storage. I made sure my aluminium miner was supplying all its goodies to the network, and I was of course setting each new tier 2 storage to demand its own specific item.
Yeah, so the main thing is all these kind of low tier materials plus the super alloy. Iridium, uranium. I definitely need to upgrade storage for everything though. We're chugging along to mammals at this point. It's going to take a long time.
Yes, indeed. Between upgrading my logistics and terraforming efforts, I still had a lot of work to do. But the tier 1 bots were kind of slow. Luckily, I dropped 12,000 Terra tokens ordering something juicy from the trade rocket.
There's the blueprint for tier 2 bots. Tier 2 drone. I don't know why I'm calling them bots. It's kind of insulting.
These require explosive powder, which costs sulfur and iridium. I managed to craft 5 immediately, and as soon as I popped them in the drone station, off they went. The way these are better than tier 1 drones is that they are simply much faster. I made a dump locker next to the front door set to supply everything to the logistics network, so I could just dump my inventory in there when I got home, and the drones would take it all to the correct spots. And super alloy was beginning to pile up, so I decided to begin using it crafting super alloy rods. Up until now, these were quite rare, so this made me feel rich. After a bunch more setting up, enough time had passed for the iridium to pile up to make enough explosive powder to make 7 more tier 2 drones. That made 17 drones total, and look at them moving through the base willy-nilly. With that as a respectable foundation for my logistics, I turned my attention to getting more tier 3 miners placed. However, I only had a few hundred power spare, and each tier 3 miner uses 289. I had margin for 1, so I placed a dedicated iridium miner, and it was then time to scale up my power. And I moved all of those pink generators I already had over here. This made 8 total, enough to make the most of the best addition to my power setup so far, a tier 2 machine optimizer with an energy fuse in it. Now all of these were producing 150% power, over 2,000 each. Then I realized I had a second energy fuse, and suddenly they were producing 300%.
So these are 4,455 each. Holy crap. What the hell? All this fish egg stuff. I don't even know what's going on, dude.
And then I realized I had 2 more energy fuses that I somehow missed because I'm a goose. That meant I could put one final fuse in there, and the multiplier went to 4.5 times.
6,600. So many kilowatts. We got a cheeky 47k. available. I've like never had more than a few thousand before. I probably had like 7 or 8k available before this, and now I've got 47.
Power was well and truly no longer an issue, so down went a sulfur miner and 2 uranium miners. I upgraded the tier 3 tree spreader's machine optimizer to tier 2, which meant it would now hit 8 machines. So I added 3 more tree spreaders, and it allowed me to add 2 more oxygen fuses, so it tripled the multiplier it provided them as well.
So I got 8 of these, working at an extra 1000%. Yeah, so my GTI is going up way faster now.
I ended up leaving a tier 1 machine optimizer there as well to hold a bonus oxygen fuse, so 5 of the tree spreaders got a further 500% bonus. I did a similar upgrade for the drills, making use of 2 more pressure fuses I had lying around, and I added more big chonker drills to benefit from this.
Yeah, the numbers have just gone off the charts for oxygen and pressure.
I placed more storage and fiddled with the supply and demand settings to make sure that if stuff overflowed, it had somewhere to go. I added tier 3 miners to the osmium and zeolite setups, and with that, I had every material in the game being mined.
The base is just going to be filling up with the good stuff, you know.
But when all this super alloy disappeared in 15 seconds of crafting rods, I realized I probably needed to scale up even more. But before I did that, I wanted to make sure the terraforming was popping off in the background.
So we've got 5 of these, and I can make 3 of the tier 4s at the moment, which are flaming huge, by the way. Holy crap.
I meant to say tier 5s, and these are indeed big boys. And I added a tier 2 machine optimizer to ensure all 8 could be reached.
I couldn't quite afford that many super alloy rods at the moment. That's so expensive, holy crap.
Regardless, that was a huge boost to my heat production, as the big chonker tier 5s produced 10 times the heat of the tier 4s. I sadly had just the 1 heat fuse though, so they only had a 5 times multiplier. With my terraforming now beaming along, I got back to it, and noticed some of the drones were idle. I took that as a challenge to provide them more stuff to collect. I first added 2 more super alloy miners, and gave these a machine optimizer with 3 production fuses in it. The tooltip for these says they divide production time by 0.25.
These are now mining every 43 seconds instead of every 75 seconds.
I then decided having just 1 autocrafter was a sad state of affairs, and so I began work expanding my production capacity. But I soon realized they weren't going to reach all of my storage, so I concluded I needed a base overhaul. This involved making the base bigger, moving my entire operations center over to this new room, and moving a bunch of my storage lockers over to the space where all the screens had previously been. I wanted more bioplastic nuggets, so I switched my solitary outdoor farm over to a mushroom farm. I managed to craft a 1000% multiplier butterfly larva.
So this is producing a solid 750 grams of insects a second. I'll take that.
And I added more food growers upstairs for yet more mushroom production. I added a tier 3 aluminium miner, another iridium one, and 3 more osmium ones. Of all the items, silicon was in high demand because it's used in bioplastic nuggies and circuit boards. So I made a dedicated silicon miner next to the osmium setup and placed a machine optimizer down too. I placed another aluminium miner, and I realized I could get sulfur at the osmium spot. So I placed 2 sulfur miners here to benefit from the production fuses as well.
2 sulfur mines at pretty much double speed, 3 osmium ones at double speed, 1 silicon one, 2 aluminium ones over here, just at normal speed, but it should be enough. We got 3 iridium ones here at normal speed. Kind of want more iridium than that, but that's fine for now. We got 4 super alloy ones here at almost double speed, and then we got just 2 uranium ones. I've scaled up my economy like absolute crazy.
I decided my 4 auto crafters were an embarrassment, so I rearranged and doubled that up to 8. And I basically just got all the useful stuff crafting. Meanwhile, my terraforming was chugging nicely, and at well over 1.24 trillion on the terraformation index, I was over 20% of the way to completely terraforming the planet. I set up an autocrafter here at the edge of the water where it could reach the algae and water being generated.
This could be the easiest passive terra token farm you can possibly make. So now it will make bacteria constantly using just those resources there. And I'll get this to request, this can demand bacteria samples, and when it's full, it'll launch. Or when it fills, it'll be 6 times 25, so it'll be 150.
150 isn't much towards the 100,000 terra tokens I needed for an achievement, but at least I now had some automated token generation to chug along passively in the background.
Alright, well, that's an improvement to the base, that's for sure. But I should go out inventory again. Well, really, I should look into this crap.
Yeah, I'd still made 0 fish or frogs or animals, but I could see insect rockets would unlock soonish, so I wasn't too worried as that would pick up the pace towards some good unlocks. For now, I managed to place a second mushroom farm, which at least produces some plants and insects, along with mushies for bioplastic nugs.
We're now up to 41 out of 55.
Just gotta keep on keeping on.
I kept on keeping on by placing the beginnings of a bigger bacteria setup in the middle of the lake. I never actually finished this, but it was good to at least place 2 more water collectors, which I of course added to the logistics network.
There we go, here we go. Oh!
The first launch for Terra tokens. A whopping 150 Terra tokens for that from 25 bacteria samples.
I left super alloy rods, osmium rods, and bioplastic nugs crafting and headed out because I'd finally made some explosives.
Right click to you. Oh. Come on. Oh, that was a fail. Okay, we're in.
Yes, indeed. Time to hoover up loot once again. I'd of course brought the materials to make a teleporter, so I ducked back to base to make a fusion energy cell and fired up this buried ship before exploring further.
Oh, we take some Terra tokens. Hell yeah.
Now that I had a better grasp on how long it might take to generate the Terra tokens I needed, I was a little more excited to find some in the wild.
This ship is enormous, man. What is this?
I'd never seen a shipwreck like this before, and it was delivering the goodies.
Oh, an access card used to open closed doors.
I found lots of Terra tokens, and while I was in here, the rocket returned, giving me the first 150 Terra tokens I'd actually earned rather than stolen. Wonderful stuff.
Surely this is where I can use my access thing. Yep.
And within this secure haven of riches were mainly seeds, for some reason.
This is kind of a disappointing ship, like 3 volts, and all it has is seeds in it. Alright, so this came back and brought me 150 Terra tokens. It's filling up again. You know what? It's doing alright.
I wasn't done with that wreck though. It was rather large. I found another access card, and it was a serious maze in here. I was actually starting to get annoyed because I think I was walking around in circles, but eventually my bumbling about was rewarded.
Oh, 5,000 Terra tokens? That's what I'm talking about.
Another achievement popped up too.
I've crafted 1,000 items now. All my constant crafting back at base has done a good job.
I stubbornly continued searching the ship, and while I did find another safe, I never found a spot to use the second access card I'd found, so I gave up and went searching for more rocks to blow up.
Give me something good. Okay.
A rather red area. Blood river, blood trees. Delicious.
Delicious red water.
This area was certainly an intriguing find, and I was not disappointed by the loot tucked away here either.
Oh, production multiplier fuse. Absolutely. Oh, Ribeiro tree seed, 1200%.
I headed home to empty my inventory, and the best tree seed I had previously was a mere 400%, so chucking the red tree seed in one of the tier 3 tree spreaders was quite a boost to my O2 efforts. Back in red tree land, I spotted a wreck, so I found my way in.
Oh. Genetic trait. Inserted in a genetic synthesizer to create a new creature. A genetic trait of bioluminescence. What?
And you know the drill, lots of loot. And eventually I left the red tree biome behind. I got an achievement for finding solar quartz. I'd found some in the environment earlier, but never picked any up, I guess.
So there's 2 areas I haven't found. A lot of these achievements are going to be pretty easy to get. But the sea note and the ancient paradise, I don't know.
For now, I settled for blowing my way into another buried shipwreck. By the way, back at base, I now had quite a few super alloy rods. And out exploring, it was always a joy to find big fat 5,000 Terra token wallets.
And another 5,000 is good too. Holy crap. Another 5,000? What the hell?
Yeah, that was over 15,000 Terra tokens in about 30 seconds. So exploring these ships was definitely worth it. Back at base, I expanded out the front a little, which allowed me to place a wall behind these storage lockers, and suddenly I had room for way more lockers in range of the auto crafters. I'd also been slowly growing cocoa and wheat in the food growers upstairs, so I managed to make my first flour and chocolate, a great milestone. I had another good session completely lost in the giant labyrinth of that same ship, and by this point I was genuinely sick of getting lost, but I kept at it because the Terra tokens and loot on offer was worth the effort. It probably would have been smart to develop a way to explore these methodically so I didn't end up retracing my steps so much, but I am a goose, so my strategy was to run around like an idiot and hope I found something new. As such, I definitely checked the same chests over and over again, like 8 times, but I found a few access cards and more fuses too. Finding the access cards proved to be useful later on, but for now it just made me feel like I'd missed something because I thought there must be a locked door somewhere.
What do I do with all the access cards I found? Why have I found so many access cards?
Eventually, I moved on, and look at all the osmium rods I'd made by this point. The bioplastic nuggets were piling up too. I placed 3 animal farms.
This is just creating heaps of heat and pressure and plants and insects without me even doing anything to it?
Yeah, these don't house animals unless you synthesize an animal's DNA and put it in there. And I did not have a DNA synthesizer yet, so I don't even know why I built these, but I'll take a solid boost to my plants and insects. Yes, please. I then blew up the biggest clump of blowy uppy rocks you've ever seen.
Oh, here we go. This needs an access card.
By the look of it, it needed 5 access cards.
I think I might have 5 access cards. I do have 4 more. Huzzah.
And so the random access cards I'd found in those random ships ended up coming in clutch, and I made my way through to this impressive looking cave system.
The Tree of Life.
Someone's old base was here, so I began poking around.
What the heck is this place? They're building a rocket to escape or something?
Up on the console of the rocket, I found my answer.
I know I didn't uncover all your mysteries, dear rusty giant rock, but it's my time to go now. It's my final day here. Goodbye, giant rock. Good riddance. Good luck. So Iklas got out of here. He escaped. Well done, big fella. Alright, so this is the end of Iklas's story. We've seen him struggle his way around.
Iklas had overcome adversity and crippling depression, and he'd managed to make about 42 bases all over the planet, and eventually he left on a rocket. What a hero, and this is your reminder that if Iklas can do it, you can too. I believe in you. Seriously though, I don't know how he built so many buildings. There are a few here which I looted before proclaiming,
Iklas got away. What a beast. Oh. Frog egg. There's frogs here. I can make an amphibian farm so cheaply. I've got a 500% frog egg. 4.13 kilograms of animals a second. Frogs. Very radioactive looking frogs. Oh, look how many of them there are. Holy crap. Alright, well that was the little animal boost we need. I only need 1,000 tons to get everything I can unlock, and I've already got a quarter of a ton from one amphibian farm.
Just like that, my animal production was popping off, no worries. I expanded my outdoor farm a little, and I had the materials to upgrade the rest of my tier 4 heaters to tier 5, so I did that. But in the process, moved all of them further away because they were so enormous. I realized I had 2 more of the 1200% multiplier red tree seeds, so I placed them in tree spreaders, and I had a few more spare tree seeds lying around, so I made some tier 3 tree spreaders just to boost my terraforming speed that little bit more. I also shot off 6 more plant rockets, which helped the biomass pick up speed towards unlocking the insect spreader rocket, which did indeed soon unlock. I'd unlocked fish farms too, but I needed fish eggs to put in them, and my fish collector randomly had some eggs ready to go, so I was able to get one of them fish farms working, and I used the DNA manipulator for the first time in ages to begin cooking up some more fish eggs. I managed to make 2 50% and 3 50% multipliers for the other 2 fish farms. I then investigated what I needed for insect rockets.
Oh, I need bee lava for it. That's so annoying. Do you know how annoying bee lava is to get?
Bee lava is made from uncommon lava, which I didn't have many of and couldn't be bothered collecting, and it's also just slow making them using DNA manipulators. So I ignored that and instead paid a visit to the Rainbow Caves. I began stocking up on the various quartz colors. I also finished off expanding my downstairs storage. I had 3 flour and 3 chocolate by this point, so I was able to make my first cookie, earning a very important achievement. And I had enough power that I was able to steal one of the 3 energy fuses from the power setup, which I used to craft a portal generator, earning another achievement.
Alright, so what is this business? Location ID, materials required, scan for distant wrecks. Rarity, difficulty, wrecks contain unique loot. Well, I guess I better try this.
But it costs a bunch of colorful quartz to open portals, and I still hadn't collected many of each color except pink. So I headed to the Rainbow Caves again, and I did multiple teleports back and forth collecting everything I found. Not the green ones though.
Where is the green? Isn't there a green section?
There is, but I could not find it again. I had 2 random greenies from earlier though. By the way, I've been crafting pulsar quartz for a while now. These are made from 1 zeolite, 1 osmium, 1 uranium, 1 iridium, and 1 methane cartridge. So collection of all the composite materials was automated. And they sell for 25 a pop.
Go on, sell a bunch of these. 25 times 25.
That is 625, which is a decent chunk of Terra tokens.
Here we go. Let's do this one. 1 green, 3 pink, 2 purple, 2 blue. 1 green, 3 pink, 2 purple, 2 blue. 1 green, 3 pink, 2 purple, 2 blue.
I grabbed those and fired up my first portal.
Open. Hey, hey. Go on then. Psychedelic. Alright, so I'm somewhere far away on the map. And apparently there's very rare loot here.
I explored the area and eventually found a chest with some Terra tokens and colorful quartz, and soon a second chest. There are indeed random chests strewn about on the other side of these portals, but the main point of these is to take you close to the site of a distant wreck, and it's inside these wrecks that you find the real good stuff. I poked my head in, but I was getting thirsty, and I'd become used to slurping from random lakes to deal with that, but this lava area had no random lakes, so I headed back through the portal to avoid dying. I tried on the new spacesuit I'd found.
It's green, dude. Okay, great job. There we go. 625 Terra tokens.
And when the rocket actually finally landed, I decided to order some goodies. As I'd amassed over 36,000 Terra tokens by this point, I ordered 1 energy fuse to replace the one I'd stolen, 1 500% multiplier frog eggs, and 3 1400% multiplier butterfly larva.
Go on then. Bring me back some good stuff. I don't know why I'm willingly going into another one of these ships, but it's fine.
Clearly I was still traumatized by the maze-like nature of these wrecks, but here I go again facing my fears, with water bottles handy this time to avoid dehydration. I did find a little more loot, but I soon regretted my visit here because I got so flamin' lost.
I really want to figure out if there's anything cool to find here, but like, I mean, I did get an interesting spacesuit. Maybe that's the unique item I found, like, I could get.
I sound so depressed about the situation. Hilarious. When I found a room with a couple of vaults, my spirits were lifted. I was especially pleased with the 500% multiplier frog eggs, but I soon headed out, and I was definitely not planning to open up another portal anytime soon.
Why are there butterflies here? Frozen in stasis. It's beautiful.
Little did I realize I was going to need to use the portal generator extensively later on if I had any chance of reaching 100% completion. For now though, my trade rocket had returned, so things were about to speed up as I placed the 500% frog multiplier and 3 1400% butterfly larva I'd ordered. I made 3 more butterfly farms to house the larvas I'd just evicted. With that boost to my biomass production and my crafting chugging along, I finally turned my attention back to the story.
Let's go to the Warden location from like a million years ago. It was 964. 68 1744.
Turns out this was pointing me towards that huge door I'd found earlier.
The big old door. I don't think this pedestal was here actually the first time I found this place. I swear the pedestal wasn't there. I saw the door, but the pedestal maybe came up because of something I did in that other location. I don't know. But this is definitely Warden. Warden stuff.
I made my way down the stairs.
What do you got for me, Wardens? Oh, another key. This one does not have coordinates on it.
And through the other passage, I found a large cavernous area.
What the heck is this place, man?
There were some rather impressive buildings here, and another warden's key, which I grabbed. I went into one of the buildings, but there didn't appear to be much happening in here, and then I found some scaffolding around the side of one of the other buildings, which I followed up until I came to a balcony, and through a broken section of railing, another pathway leading to a stone tablet.
Orbital Drainage Defense Device Observation Log. The device is working as intended, and our tests are conclusive. If the ones calling themselves humans ever approach this planet, it will drain their ships of energy and prevent them from communicating. Oh! Is this why everything crashes here? Our presupposition is that the device will effectively reduce their efforts to approach this part of the infinitude, leading them to spread elsewhere if they continue to do so. Our calculations are conclusive. This will give us at least a few hundred years of quietude. The Wardens just didn't want humans to come here. That's fair.
And through this final corridor, the orbital drainage defense device the tablet was talking about. It was a glorious radiant orb. I don't know if they intended to cause crashes or to just turn back visitors, but it interferes with communication and drains energy, which sounds like a recipe for crashes. Either way, I guess I had the Wardens to thank for all the shipwrecks full of useful loot.
Oh, I can keep going further. What else have we got? Oh, here we go. We got somewhere else to go to. With 3 devices this time.
I took note of these new coordinates and shot off in that direction.
Oh, you know what? I might have poked my head up here. I feel like I did. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I don't know what this is, but it's quite glorious. The entire mountainside just got opened up.
Yes, indeed, and I was certainly enthused as the mysteries of this planet continued to unravel.
What do you got for me, Wardens? Ah. Lovely. Find the ancient paradise. An achievement. Oh wow, this place is cool.
Ancient paradise indeed, vibrant and full of life. I found some frog eggs, I found another warden key, and up these golden stairs, a very informative stone tablet.
Once we lived. I need 5 keys now? Okay, I gotta search the area for 4 more keys.
I did just that. There was one over here, and I then got busy climbing a bunch of rickety wooden nonsense.
Okay bro, this is outrageous. Where am I going? Okay, there's 3rd.
I then did some very impressive parkour to get over to the other side, where I climbed a tree to claim the 4th warden key.
Oh, what's this? A 1200 butterfly larva. That's helpful. Just on the floor. What? Oh, here we go. 1 more. That's all 5. Give me more butterfly larva, please. What's this? There we go. Another one, 600%. There's another 1200%. Hell yeah. A 1500% golden one? Oh, they're everywhere. Another 1200%. Yeah, this is how I get my insects up. This is how the insects go to the moon.
I'd forgotten to bring the materials for a teleporter, which I was now well and truly regretting, because a teleporter in the paradise of extremely good butterfly larva would have been a good idea.
But anyway, let's just do this now. Look at them stacked on top of each other. You'll love to see it. What glorious thing awaits me in the warden paradise.
I soon made my way forward, and at the end of the corridor, I caught a glimpse of some golden fluttering.
Lots of golden, glorious butterflies.
There were 2 golden chests. The first one had another golden butterfly larva in it, and then it was time to read the final warden tablet. Of this area, at least.
Once again, a calamity befalls our people. If the predictions are correct, a meteor will hit the planet in just a few days. Once again, destruction is upon us, but this time we will not flee as we did generations ago. What is the point of running away when demise chases you so vigorously? We accept our fate, are proud of what we were, and remain true to our values. Our story will disappear under the ashes of flames and dust, like a butterfly life, beautiful and evanescent. It's time to meet our end.
So the wardens were clearly big on leaving it up to fate, and if fate shot a big old meteor at them, their conclusion was they were fated to die. That seems a little irresponsible and defeatist, but at least they left some glorious golden butterflies behind for me.
Well, we can immediately improve the butterfly situation, right? Just get rid of that. Put that in. Get rid of that. Put that in.
Yes, indeed, the insect production surged as I placed a bunch more butterfly farms and made use of all the 1000 plus multiplier larvae I had found. And with the uncommon larva I'd found, I was able to make 3 bee larvae. And so my first insect rocket finally flew high.
Go on then. That's a good looking rocket. 10 times insects at this point is absolutely bonkers.
Bonkers indeed, and about time. Even better, just then I unlocked ecosystems, which produce tons of plant biomass and a solid chunk of insects, but they also generate random larvae, which I added to the logistics network so the drones would bring them straight into storage for me. I feel like I neglected biomass production for so long, but now it was having its heyday. I launched a few more heat rockets, because they're cheap, so why not? And the increased insect production meant I soon unlocked tier 2 beehives.
This generates bee larva, good.
And look at all the honey piling up from my tier 1 beehives. I launched a few more O2 rockets, because again, why not? And I'd run low on fertilizer, so I could only afford 2 plant rockets, but why not? Once some bee larva had piled up from the ecosystem's valiant larva production efforts, I shot off a couple more insect rockets. Here's where my rocket multipliers were sitting at this point. And I fortunately had enough tier 2 fertilizer to place 2 tier 2 beehives, which produced both honey and bee larva. I then checked on my remaining achievements, and was reminded I still needed to find the C-note biome.
I feel like it's got to be over here somewhere. I haven't explored much over here.
I then realized I'd unlocked the final tier of drills at some point. These cost super alloy and osmium rods, which I had heaps of thanks to constant production, so I made 8 immediately and got the pressure multiplier fuses positioned in the center. And these are absolutely enormous.
Got a lovely forest and then just absolute murder of the planet. A great combo. Oh, tier 2 butterfly farm. I've been waiting for that.
I had enough tier 2 fertilizer to place 6 of these, and not only do they produce 475 grams of insects a second, much better than the tier 1 farm's 75, they can also fit 2 larvae. So the multipliers went nuts when I removed all the larvae from the tier 1s and moved them over. Most of these ended up producing more than 10 kilos of insects a second each.
There's 3 beautiful insect rockets. Plants have worked for so long to get 39 kilotons. This is going to catch up now.
Yeah, that was a decent boost to my biomass production, which meant I quickly unlocked the tier 2 aquarium, which is rather huge and spherical.
Should I just go at the front of my base?
Yeah, why not? But let's get it a little higher than that. The tier 2 aquariums barely produce any animals for some reason, but at least it looked glorious. As you can see, my terraformation index was sitting at about 3.6 TTI at this point, so I was 72% of the way to completely terraforming the planet. My constant production of eggplants and squash meant I was slowly able to replenish my fertilizer supply, and that, combined with the infinite bee larvae I was now getting from my tier 2 beehives, meant I was able to place more outdoor farms in which I began growing more eggplant and squash so I could make more fertilizer. Ah, the circle of life. My newfound biomass abundance soon pushed me to another crucial unlock.
Let's make a genetic synthesizer and a genetic extractor.
I did just that, and as you might expect, the extractor lets you extract genetic traits from stuff like seeds and larvae, while the synthesizer lets you create DNA by shoving a bunch of genetic traits in there. I put the random genetic traits I'd found while exploring in.
Oh, these are all optional. These are mandatory. Species, color A and color B. How do I get the species?
From the extractor, of course. And fortunately, I now had an abundance of larvae, and plenty of seeds too, so I was able to get what I needed.
Did I get a color B? I got a color B. Synthesize creature DNA. Do it! Animal multiplier 1000. Hell yeah. Alright, we've got an animal shelter over here. You. Have an animal. What the heck, man? Yeah, buddy. Hello. I'm waving at him. Hello. It's 1,000 times multiplier. It's crazy, dude. I'll get rid of these for now. So that just got me 35 kilos of animals a second. So animals is now going real fast towards a kiloton. I only need we'll easily get there. That's fine.
I spent a bunch more time playing God, and soon the little fella had 4 more friends.
I made 3 of these weirdos. This one's bigger for some reason. Hell yeah. And then what are you? You weird cat horse. Oh, this is beautiful. This one's the best by far. The first one I made had some fancy stuff going on. Hell yeah. Well, this is now producing a ridiculous amount, right? 174 kilos of animals a second?
I placed an animal food dispenser and put some random honey in there, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure I left these guys to starve. They never died though, so no big deal. With that, I was primed to hit all my terraforming goals in short order. So I turned my attention to the real grind, the grind for Terra tokens. I placed 3 more trade rockets, I placed a bunch more gas extractors because I needed methane for pulsar quartz and nitrogen for circuit boards, and I basically did everything I could to make sure the trade rockets could constantly sell pulsar quartz and circuit boards, as they both sell for 25 Terra tokens each. And they're made from mostly different materials, so it wasn't too hard to go full blast producing them simultaneously. I also continued with the bacteria, which sells for way less but was good for filling up the rockets quicker. I made more drones to keep up with the logistics demands, and I spent some time finishing off the shape of the base, so it looked as nice as possible.
Yeah, it's good. It's got nice depth to it. Got lots of straight edges and curved edges. I approve.
I was now theoretically making 2,000 or so Terra tokens every 10 minutes, but I was sitting at around 58,000 Terra tokens traded, and most of that had come from stealing, so I felt like this was gonna take forever. I should mention I set the priorities so one storage locker of the items I was selling had to be full before the drones began taking them to the trade rockets.
This is now full, so there's overflow going to the rockets. So this is not yet overflowing to the rockets. That's rough. This is now full, so that's overflow is going to the rockets. So we got a little bit of stuff happening. Yeah, well, I've got enough terraforming going. I'm gonna hit completion for that real soon. That's the final biomass unlock. That's crazy.
Tier 1 animal food, even though I already had Tier 2 somehow, and even though I never bothered feeding my animals properly. It's good stuff. Even though my money-making efforts weren't that impressive, I figured I should go find the mysterious cenote biome, and just hope that my trade rockets did some work while I was out and about.
Like, what is this biome? Like, what do you call it? This is a beautiful, idyllic waterfall biome.
Not the cenote biome though. I found a cave behind this waterfall with some rocks to blow up and a bunch of osmium, which led through to another explosion.
Is this something? Where's this going? I don't even know, dude. It's dark though. Oh,
this did indeed feel like it could be something.
why is my torch useless? Oh, I can go down?
Now's a good time to mention that cenote, which I've been pronouncing like a bogan so far because I was too lazy to look it up, and I'm probably still pronouncing wrong, actually means sinkhole or deep natural well. And well, that's a deep natural well, so I was indeed on the right track. At the bottom, I swam along this fissure.
Oh, what is this? Surely this is what I'm looking for. Underwater base. Oh, this has got to be one of Iklas's base, right?
Yes, of course it was. That bloke has bases everywhere. What an absolute maniac.
Yeah, so obviously he had a base here at some point and it got flooded. I'm gonna die. So let's just find a way. Oh gosh, how the hell? How did my O2 get so low so fast?
Ever since the atmosphere became breathable on this planet, I'd gotten used to traveling about without any O2 capsules on me. But water is not breathable.
What is this place? I'm gonna die. No, dude.
And I did not get the cenote biome achievement, and even though I didn't know the definition of cenote at this point, I was sure it must be down there somewhere, so back I went, carrying some O2 capsules this time. I can now take it easy investigating these weird ruins.
That's gotta be a warden thing, right?
I thought I'd seen the last of the wardens, but I guess not.
The self should not exist. That's what we've been told since we were born. We live as one. We, the wardens, are one united, without individuals in the group. Can the concept of a group even exist if there are no entities? But when your own existence is threatened, when your self can disappear, how can one really be selfless? Is the urge to survive really incompatible with selflessness? Alright, Warden, calm down with your philosophizing.
All that sounded contrary to what the Wardens had written in the Ancient Paradise, so I guess this was left behind by a group that had broken away because they disagreed with allowing a big meteor to kill them.
This has got to be the biome, please.
I soon surfaced and mounted a few more stairs, and I was finally awarded the coveted achievement.
There we go. This is it.
This was definitely some kind of Warden setup, but it wasn't as impressive as the Ancient Paradise.
Warden key detector. It's a blueprint? We want to survive. Waiting for certain death is not selflessness, it's suicide, it's self-destruction. Some of us have chosen to leave before the inevitable, to leave the destruction behind and our loved ones who think that fate is greater than choice. If you want to join us, use this chip to find hidden 10 keys we left behind on this planet and place them in an extraction capsule.
No doubt these Wardens left this behind in case any of their people decided they wanted to live. Alas, the Wardens are all dead, so their parting gift was now mine.
I might as well use those frog eggs, glorious golden frogs.
I decoded the Warden key detector chip.
Equip this and explore the world to reveal Warden's hidden structures.
Terra tokens kept trickling in from the rockets.
The Terra tokens are happening. It's all good. There's no need to stress.
And I made and equipped the Warden key detector. So now I was apparently able to see Warden keys scattered around the world. And if I found all 10, I'd be able to use them to somehow leave the planet. I made a few more farms, and a few moments later...
Oh, we reached complete terraformation. Done. Infinity %. I still haven't unlocked the tier 4 jetpack, so my animals will get there eventually. But I can make an extraction platform now.
I did not rush to make one though, as I still had a heap of Terra tokens to earn. So on day 86, I further improved my mushroom production so I could make more bioplastic nuggets, and therefore more circuits.
One more of these. I got a new message. Let's just place... Oh, new blueprint received, large explosive device.
I placed more water collectors, and then checked to see what this new message was about.
Congratulations, our sensors indicate you've successfully terraformed your assigned planet. However, our monitoring indicates that your planet has an anomaly that prevents us from colonizing it. You must destroy this anomaly before using the departure platform so our ships can extract you. Please receive this recipe for an explosive device able to do this task. Place this under the Warden's anomaly and trigger it to be able to leave the planet. I gotta blow up the big glowy ball if I want to leave?
That would make sense, since it scrambles communications and powers down ships. Again, I wasn't in a rush to leave, but now I had two options. Find the Warden keys and let them extract me, or destroy the Radiant Orb and let my corporate overlords extract me. For now, I continued scaling up production with more algae generators and water collectors. And because zeolite is used to make both pulsar quartz and circuit boards, it was being used up too quickly. So I expanded the zeolite mining operation and gave it a machine optimizer to speed up production. I was getting low on iron too, as it's used in circuit boards, so I made a miner for exclusively iron. The next pain point was iridium, so I improved the iridium mining operation. I expanded the zeolite operation even more, so now there were 8 miners here, and you get the idea. I basically placed lots of miners.
I'm up to 30 tier 3 ore extractors. I think I'll stop demanding bacteria, because I think I'm making enough pulsar quartz and circuits now. Yeah, because this is getting swarmed with all this juicy loot. It's gonna sell for 25.
I'd switched over most of the auto crafters to make mostly just these 2 items by this point. I scaled up drone logistics, I scaled up the uranium mine, I scaled up gas extraction.
So we're up to 66,000 now. We've gone up a bit. It's slow going though.
I got more silicon and iron mining, I got even more gas extracting, I scaled up mining even more, and just a couple of days after I last checked,
It's actually not going that slow. We're doing alright here.
and that was my plan, just keep getting organized, keep optimizing, and scale up the trade rocket shenanigans. Until...
Hold on. You know what I just realized? These multipliers say trade value on them. In that case, if I just go, maybe I go through the portal and try find them. Is that the smart thing to do? What else can I sell? The thing is, to scale up, I need more iridium, and it's going to be such a mission to get more iridium at this point. I have to stop the whole operation to allow iridium to pile up. To be fair, it would pile up pretty flaming fast.
those were my 2 options. Leave my trade rocket operation as it was and pivot to running portals, or continue scaling up. I ended up going for a little of both. I stopped production so iridium would stop being used, allowing it to pile up, which would allow me to make more iridium rods, which I'd completely run out of, so I could make more trade rockets, more miners, and more drones.
I do really dislike these stupid things, so this could suck.
I don't know why I went back through the same portal to the same lava area, because I'd already looted much of this wreck. I guess I forgot. But I did find the fusion reactor, so I was able to power it up, which opened the doors, allowing me to access a couple of safes in which I found 2 fuses.
Well, I mean, that's 11,000 territory. I think I just sell them.
I've got a lot of fuses already that I could just sell like a madman.
As soon as I got back, I chucked them in a rocket and off they went. And for some reason, I wasn't actually sure if this would work. It seemed too good to be true, so I waited around for 10 minutes to find out.
Oh, it worked. Okay, good. It worked. Hell yeah.
I was completely done with terraforming, so there were a bunch of fuses I didn't need anymore. There was only one thing to do.
Okay, so we're gonna send up all these. This will be 10, this will be 20,000. I'm on 95,444, so theoretically this will get me over 100,000. I don't know if it's this figure, like all-time earnings of tokens, or do I need 100,000 on me, but we'll find out after this.
And so I stared at the floor for 10 minutes until the fateful rocket returned.
Okay, there's a 20,000. Oh, I'm just eating dinner. There's a 20,000 and it got the achievement. It got the achievement. Too easy. All right, well now I can go do the endings.
I placed down the extraction platform, which told me what I already knew. I needed to destroy the glowy orb.
All right, I mean, this is regrettable, right? Going and blowing this crap up.
Now, you might think, why don't I just find the warden keys and get extracted that way? Meaning I wouldn't have to desecrate the glorious radiant orb. Well, I would have done that and called it a day if I could have. However, I had 3 more achievements. 1 to be extracted by Sentinel Corp, 1 to be extracted by the wardens, and 1 to be extracted by smugglers. I had no idea how to get extracted by smugglers, but looking at those achievements, I knew I had to complete all 3 endings, so there was nothing for it. I had to blow up the Orb of Warden Glory.
The Orb of Interference. It's gotta go.
10 seconds later, yes indeed, big boom.
Holy dooly. That's a very serious explosion.
This went on for about half a minute.
I love how that rock just came in. Okay, well, I think that's done, right?
On the way back, I kept an eye out for the warden's mysterious keys. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for, but as I came close to this wreck, something shimmered into view.
Oh, here we go. A warden key. All right, well, there's one of them. Hang on, if I take this off. It's still there. I don't know. So I'm just gonna have to run around and look for them. Is that the play? New message received. Do they know that I blew it up? Just gonna take a scenic route on the way home and hope that I run into one of those warden things.
I did not, and soon I returned to check my messages. It was from Riley.
This will be the last message I'll be able to send you. I've done all I could, but our options are very limited. I advise you strongly not to trust Sentinel Corp, as they have shown multiple times how unfair and oppressive they are. They could not care less about you or any other convicts. I managed to contact a smuggler's ship. They're willing to take you on board for 250,000 Terra tokens. This is the 3rd ending I have to do. I gotta save up a bunch more Terra tokens. And 5 solar quartz, that's okay. Collect the correct amount of Terra tokens and fill the departure platform inventory with the required quartz to board with them. They are untrustworthy too, great, and I can't guarantee you anything. Your future is uncertain, and despite all you went through, what lies ahead might be even harder. So that's how I get the smuggler's ending.
Yeah, so I guess I wasn't done saving up Terra tokens.
62,000, I need 190,000 more. The productivity and energy modules are worth like 5 or 6 grand each. Probably got 50 grand worth there. And then other than that, I've got to grind. For now though...
For now, I could at least get the first ending, leaving the planet with my fate in the hands of Sentinel Corp.
So I'm returning to my original captors. I've served my sentence though, I did a good job, guys. Oh, what the heck. Yeah, going to their big old ship. Congratulations, you have successfully terraformed this planet. We will now re-examine your sentence based on the various deviations from the rules that could be attributed to you. I did do Terra token shenanigans, which I probably wasn't supposed to. For the moment, you will remain in detention while your case is examined. I didn't break any rules, I promise. Good game, good game. I don't know about that ending, it wasn't very uplifting. They're probably just going to send me to terraform another planet since I was so good at it. Then it would be the Planet Crafter 2. Leave the planet with Sentinel Corp. Okay, now I have a combination of things to do. I've got to find 9 more Warden keys.
And I needed to earn about 190,000 more Terra tokens. I decided to go looking for the keys first, to allow my trade rockets to hopefully make some kind of dent in the riches I needed to amass. I soon found my second key over here, and from there I did my best to methodically search, going from biome to biome. The key pedestals only seemed to appear when I got reasonably close to them, so I tried to zig and zag about, hoping not to miss anything. I should also mention, as you can tell, the game lets you resume playing from a save right before extraction, so I was thankfully able to get all 3 endings in this one playthrough. The next key I found was in the lava biome. I decided to climb up the waterfall mountain.
Just scaling the mountain? Am I scaling the mountain for any reason? They rewarded me with a gold chest. I stand upon the peak of the glorious mountain. Oh, there's pulsar quartz up here. Okay. Thank you.
I was convinced there must be a key somewhere near the waterfall, but I could not find one. None in this pretty biome either. But I did find something interesting.
Trade rocket multiplier fuse? Increase the speed of nearby trade space rocket. That's quite useful, actually. There's got to be one in the middle down here.
There is. That was number 4, which I found 11 minutes after the one in the lava biome. I dumped everything at base and placed the trade rocket fuse, and I soon worked out it makes the rockets take 9 minutes instead of 10. Then I got back to the search. I found one near the dusty nonsense, one over here, another on top of this big thingo, and one more below the big ring ship made 8 total. And at this point I had explored the entire map, so I was at a loss as to where the other 2 were. So I googled it. I'd missed one here, and I don't know how I missed this one earlier because I ran around near the bottom of the waterfall for ages, but that made all 10 keys. And it turned out the way to actually use these was to place them in the chest on the extraction platform.
Put them in there? Okay, here we go. Leave the planet. Trust that some wardens are still alive and will accept you.
And so I achieved my second ending, and I now had just one achievement to go.
Through the portal. The Warden's portal. What's the bet? The Wardens are all dead. To those who follow us, know that our destiny is that of doom. Yep. But some of us still believe that giving up is not an option. We will see what Providence has in store for us. A Warden. Okay, that's very ambiguous. Alright. And then there was one. Leave the planet with the smugglers.
I was convinced by this point that grinding out portal runs was going to be way quicker than trying to scale up my trade rockets, so in I went. This portal took me to a different biome, and it of course had a wreck I could explore. And now that I was committed to diving into these wrecks, I tried to pay better attention to their layouts, and before long I got a little better at navigating them. Of course, I was looking for terra tokens, the bigger the better, with 5,000 being the best find possible, and fuses which could be sold for huge profit. I also took as many colorful quartz as I could, as I needed these to open more portals, and I always brought fusion energy cells with me so I could power up the ships and access the safes. When it came time to open a new portal, I re-rolled the portal options until I found one with items of a rarity of 5 and made sure the difficulty was only 1 or 2. While on the hunt, I found a blueprint for this weird floating light cube and this fireplace. Lovely, lovely. The biome at the other end of this particular portal was interesting, and every time I found a good chunk of change, I said something like
5,000 terra tokens, yes. Yes, yes.
And I continued selling fuses, so in came solid paychecks every now and then. After just 2 fully cleared portals, I was up to 114,000 in the bank. The next portal I went into was a lava one, but it was unique in that it had 2 massive wrecks to search, not just the one, so it was quite profitable. And you get the idea, the terra tokens kept flowing. This was definitely the fastest money-making method I had at my disposal, and this was what the area looked like on the other side of my next portal. And after finishing that one, I said,
it's very important that we make some funny new animals. Well, this guy's massive now. And then I got the weird goat thing. That's species 3.
I was keen to see if there were any more species variants, but after some DNA silly willies, this is the best I could pull off.
Wait, what? It's just another one of these, but this one's got spikes?
Alright, back to business.
2 green, 4 pink, 2 purple, 1 blue. 2 green, 4 pink, 2 purple, 1 blue.
This portal took me to this place, where I found one of the juiciest chests ever.
Oh, that's the double whammy, baby. We're on 169. I think I can get 70,000.
So that was some premium mathematics. Now that I'd farmed my way up to 170,000, I reckon I could get the final tokens required by selling everything I had on hand. Except that would amount to about 70,000. But the astute of you will note that 170,000 plus 70,000 is only 240,000, not 250,000. Yeah, what a goose in-game Floydson is. Imagine being that bad at maths.
So this is 50, 65,000. And if I take one of the energy ones, will the energy still work? No. I don't want to power everything down. That would be wrong.
Yes, indeed. I didn't want to gut my base completely. I like the idea of it chugging along for eternity. So I built this glorious lineup of trade rockets in the water and filled them with every sellable item I had lying around. And then I realized...
oh, dude, I think I've done my maths wrong. I've got to do one more. I miscalculated. But once I do one more, I'll be within range. And I'll shoot all of those for a final glorious burst of terra tokens.
One more, and this one was actually pretty crappy until on my way out.
Kind of an underwhelming one, to be honest. Ooh. Oh, there we go. There's another 5,000. That just saved the run. This one on its own, if I take this out and put this in, this is going to get over 70,000 on its own. So we're done. Boom. Launch. I'll launch these just cause. Away! So they will return in 10 minutes
and we'll get over the 250k we need.
While I was waiting, I grabbed these fancy tree seeds I'd found in the portals and chucked them in tree spreaders so I could admire 2 new tree variants. And I admired my base as well, which I was quite happy with.
Chaotic, but like logically laid out base. Another thing I'm gonna do, this osmium thing has bothered me for so long. I took down the uranium one at some point, but I've just been like, oh, I really should take down that osmium beacon. I'm sick of seeing it on my map, and I just never took it down. So I'm gonna take it down right at the end of the playthrough, just for vibes.
Be gone, osmium beacon.
You know, the fact that these wind turbine things survived the whole game is actually beautiful. They're providing a whopping like 4 power each.
I danced for a bit near my new trees, and then I decided I wanted to know what my dude looked like without any equipment on. And in the process, all of my equipment fell on the floor.
Oh, there it goes. 70,000 Terra tokens just came in. The glorious return of the Terra tokens. 257,000 Terra tokens.
I already had the 5 solar quartz in the platform storage, so it was time to go.
Leave the planet, place your fate in the hands of space smugglers. There we go, 100%. All 3 endings achieved. Oh, the space smugglers have got a red ship. Red. My friend, I hope we can meet again one day. Despite everything you have been through, your future is still uncertain. You will now be considered an outlaw, so you will need to be careful and keep a low profile. But knowing you, I'm sure you'll get through this. Good luck. Riley. Okay, so all 3 endings are fraught with uncertainty. Alright, now, what we definitely need to do
is use the extreme riches I'd earned to buy everything from the trade rocket. 10 minutes later, I decoded all the blueprints I'd bought, and it was time to have a look-see to celebrate the completion of my 100% playthrough.
the rounded living compartment. Quite nice, quite nice. The living compartment dome. Quite nice, quite nice. And we got the 3x3, which is just big. Very big. Hologram projector. Can just put silicon in it. Yeah. Look at that silicon, man. Spacesuit holder. Can wear that. I think I'm gonna wear this. A beautiful fountain. Can't complain. I guess you can just change its color. Yeah, cool. Customizable bed. Again, you can just change the color. You know, out of all the things that I just built, this is the coolest. The spacesuit displayer is the coolest, and I unlocked that ages ago. But we're done. 55 out of 55, 100% complete!